for bed at a regular time is one of the most important habits you can learn.
Who you gonna call?
Jason was my son, and today is his birthday.
Oh, Lori, scared another one away.
What's your favorite scary movie?
Sorry, Jack. Chucky's back.
We are counselors at Hackett's Quarry Summer Camp. There is a swarm of bears.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
Most people are so ungrateful to be alive, but not you.
It's showtime.
Hello, and welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Scream Stream. Now, we on episode 53, and this is going to be a fantastic start to a two-parter, yet again, I'm going to be honest, another two-parter, but we are talking about season 2 of Them, entitled The Scare. Now, I absolutely love this season. Like, I'm never gonna lie. Granted, the first season, still good. Still enjoyed that one. Don't love it as much because of episode 5. But this season, it took everything I wanted from season 1 and put it to the front. And then it just turned it up to an 11 to me. And I thoroughly enjoyed the season. This is basically the whole reason why I even started talking about them here on the podcast. Because originally I wasn't going to talk about them season 1. As much as I enjoy season 1, there's a lot of aspects of that show that I was a little worried about going into and talking about certain episodes. Because I knew I would get quite emotional. And I wasn't wrong. I broke down and cried during that particular episode breakdown because it's just a hard episode. It's even a hard episode to talk about, and it was even hard to rewatch it, to be honest. And hell, it's hard to watch it the first time. But the point is, season 1 was great, and I do suggest go ahead, check that out if you're interested, because there is a little bit of a tie-in to this season, and you don't necessarily have to watch the first season, but it would make some things at the end make more sense, so I would suggest going down and watching either my podcast or the show itself. Skip over episode 5 if you can, and then come back and watch this. And if not, well, and I guess you're just here to hear me rambled on, because generally when I do these podcasts, I go episode by episode, detailed, and basically I might as well just be talking about the movie and or show, like straight up. I might as well just be giving you a verbal indication of everything that plays out, because that's just the way I roll and that's the way I do things, and I talk about nothing but spoilers. So heads up, everybody, spoilers. Now with that out the way, again, season 2 of this is just beautiful. It is beautiful because, first of all, one of the main aspects of the first season I loved but I didn't love at the same time was the scares. I loved the scares because I liked this idea that there was this dude who made a deal with the devil just to torment people because he's an asshole. First of all, kudos for finally making a villain in a very long time. To be just that, an evil fucking asshole. I'm sorry, I get tired of these redeeming characters like, oh, we must feel sorry for this villain. Oh, he had no choice as a villain. He had to do this as a villain. No, like, I mean, I get it, you want a human aspect to your villain, which we have one of those in here, and I feel for that, but I like the way he's portrayed. I don't want to feel sympathy for the man, I want to feel sorry for the man. And I don't mean like, oh, let me play a little violin either, but we'll get there when we get there. But the point is, when it came to the first season, it was a treat to finally be set down next to a man that was just a bad guy to be a bad guy. So, I was very happy when it came to the second season. We did just that. Whatever this scare is, whatever it is, whether it be another demon, if it is somewhat connected to the Covenant, the whole deal, shenanigans going on, I don't know. But the point is, this scare, he is terrifying. He is creepy. He is evil to be evil, and he is killing people for reasons. And it's not just because, oh, I feel sorry for them, or, oh, I'm just trying to get in touch with my inner child. No, he has a reason. This thing has a reason to be killing people. And I like that. I like the supernatural element. And that's something I didn't like in season 1. The supernatural element was more in the background than it was in the foreground. For being a horror TV show, especially a psychological horror TV show, I was expecting the horror to be up front. And I guess, their idea of horror is, let's traumatize you for the remaining of the season after episode 5, so you're just horrified by everything that comes on screen. Now, don't get me wrong, by the time we get to the last few episodes of the first season, it does, ramp up the horror factor, but it's mainly by like the last 2 or 3 episodes when the family's actually confronting their inner demons themselves. That's when the scares are there. But the main aspect of the show is the racism, because it's during the Great Migration and everybody just freaking sucks in that show. I'm not gonna lie, every white person except for that one guy, I was gonna say the Dollar General store. No, the one guy at the hardware store, he's a really nice guy. And I want to say there was one other guy who might have been nice, but everybody else just sucked. They just sucked, because they're all racist piece of shits. So, I like that in this season they dial back the racism. It's still there, don't get me wrong, because that's one of the big aspects about this show, is talking about uncomfortable racism. It's still here, but it ain't as predominant as it is in the first season, and it's not just white people say racist shit because white people are going to be racist pieces of shit. No, this is more of a black versus blue situation going on. And yes, there are still the fucking racist assholes who are upset because a black woman is on the force. But that's always been a thing when it comes to cop dramas of the 90s. I don't know why, that's just been a thing. But what I'm trying to say is the racism, it's there. But that's more in the background. The scares and the mystery are more in the foreground. This is why I love this season more, because it really just puts you in that mindset that something supernatural is going on right off the bat. Like, there's no questioning. There's no, well, it's just like inside their mind. Is it this? Is it that? No, there is something supernaturally going on, but yet no one wants to admit it because, I mean, can you really believe this? Like, seriously, in real life, like, be real for a second. If you were to turn on, say, YouTube, and you see a news broadcast that said, body found under sink, discombobulated, and shoved into a tiny corner, and everyone's just like, yeah, no man can do this. No man can do this. It had to be a machine, but we know nobody came in or out of this house. What would y'all think? Like, honestly, what would y'all think? Like, I honestly would say supernatural entity, but that would be something I wouldn't say in the court of law. Like, unfortunately, you can't blame a ghost or a demon for a crime that was committed. That's a sad fact. They tried that. There was actually the Warrens. That was it. The Warrens had a trial where they tried to, I guess, save a young man's life who was being put on trial for murder that he didn't commit because he was technically possessed by a demon. So, unfortunately, we all know how that turned out. And the movie turned out kind of well. I want to say in real life, he got a little bit more fucked over than in the movie. But, it's got to be a movie, so we need happy endings. But the point is, you can't trial a demon. So, these are unbelievable things. So, people are trying to be realistic here. They're not trying to deny the supernatural entity doesn't exist. They're just like, come on, man, be real. Be real with us. But season 2 is great for not only the aspect of bringing the supernatural elements to the foreground instead of the background. The writing's still fantastic. The camera work and trickery is still just as beautiful as it was in the first season. The writing, like I said, really top notch. Really top notch. It felt very real, very 90s. Like, we thought the first season being set in the 50s and 60s, especially with the costume designing and the music choices. They do the same excellent job come here, even though it's taking place in 91. But before we dive on into that fantastic information and so on and so forth, let's talk a little bit about the cast and crew. Of course, we got Little Marvin coming right back with his crew, the fantastic writers from the first season and directors from the first seasons. You guys, even though one of you fellas royally scarred me and traumatized me, y'all still did a good job. Excellent work with the lighting, direction, the acting was really, really good. Y'all did a good job of picking the perfect cast for this. We brought back Deborah from the first season who played Lucky. She comes back playing Detective Dawn Reeves. Fantastic. I love her. She plays the cop very, very well. Don't get me wrong. She plays the cop very well. But the reason why I say her acting in this was top notch to me. Like, don't get me wrong. The first season, she did a good job playing a mentally unstable woman for quite a bit of time. But it's mainly comes from this one scene that happens somewhere, I want to say in episode 3 or 4, where she finds out her son is smoking the devil's lettuce, you know, the ganja, the good stuff. And instead of coming at him like a cop, instead of just being like, who sold you this? Why are you smoking this? Where did you get this? She comes at him like a mom. And I like that because it shows you, yes, work is important to her. Being a cop is important to her. But being a mom is more important. And that's something you don't see a lot when it comes to cop dramas and mystery. Because usually we always get the classic detective where he or she's a smoker, drinker, divorced. You know, the typical starter pack when it comes to being a detective. We don't necessarily have that here. She's still a classic detective because she's always in her work. And she goes like all out when she goes into her work. But she's a caring, loving woman. She doesn't drink too terribly much. But she is in the process of getting divorced. So, you know, she's about 50-50. She's almost there to the classic detective. But she hasn't quite have a drug problem just yet. You know, she's not hooked on like opiums or something. Like, she ain't like that. But she is a good detective. She's a good mom, and I love this character, even though she's a little paranoid, but I understand. I love her, though. I love her. Fantastic, though. Great job. I'm going to say great job, Deborah. Great job. We got Pam Grier, who's playing Athena Reeves, which is Detective Dawn's mom. She's a treat. She's a real treat. First of all, we know her from Pet Sematary, the new one that recently came out, I want to say last year, the Bloodline one. To be honest, I watched that movie, but I don't remember anything about that movie. That's the sad part. I remember watching it and just being disappointed by the end. And not because it was bad, it was just because I was bored. And I'm just like, this is sad. This is Pet Sematary. Where's the cemetery at? Where's the creepy vibes at? No, we spend most of the time chasing a zombie, basically. But I digress. Anyway, Pam plays her mom, though, Athena. And I love Athena because she plays a very loving, caring, clumsy mom. Doesn't want to admit she might have arthritis problems, but she's got her secrets. She's got her secrets, and she still sees herself as the mom, even though we all know her secret. And if you don't know her secret, well, we'll get there when we get there. But if you do know, that scene when the secret gets revealed, I love it because she was so emotional, so impactful, and you could feel the pain rolling off this woman because it's something she didn't want to tell her. She was holding back from telling her, but she knew it had to be said and done, and she was worried about the outcome of the whole situation because, I mean, hell, if you've seen the show, you know she does not handle the news very well. So, she plays a fantastic mother overall. Absolutely love her. Now, I gotta give kudos to the next one. Luke James, my man, my motherfucking man. Oh my God. You, sir. Yeah, I was looking through your filmography, and I can see you're clearly never acted before. And I'm not. Don't take that as an insult, by the way. Don't not take that as an insult, like straight up. I've seen that you don't act. You're more of a songwriter and a musician. He's apparently been doing that since 2004. Never heard of his work. Probably should have listened to a little bit of it just to give this man some more money or something, because he is a wonderful actor. Like, oh my god. Like I said, I usually don't like it when you try to make me feel sorry for the villain. Because, again, he's a bad guy. I'm not supposed to feel sorry for him. I'm supposed to be like, oh, that poor baby. This, however, blew my mind. Because I felt emotions I shouldn't have been feeling towards the scene and towards Edmund's character. Because I felt this man. Like, I was scared of this man. So I wasn't like, oh my god, this poor baby, I feel so sorry for him. I was scared and kind of concerned about not only his safety, but everybody else's safety in the room, because we know people like this. And I don't mean like the deranged psychopathic killers and disguises and shit like that. I'm talking about people who have unfortunately been put in situations that are beyond their own control. He's been put into a mental box that is beyond his control, and it's basically the fault of other people around him. People giving up on him, people putting blame on him for things he cannot control. And it's relayed so well from Luke James. And there are several scenes and moments where I was just like, I feel his meltdown. I get his meltdown. Does it make me want to cry for him? No, it makes me scared of him because I get where he's coming from. And we see the slow decline into the madness he falls into. We see just one fuck up after the other. And we see every little strand slowly get ripped from his hand until there's only one thing holding him left on this earth. And then it's just taken away itself. And like I said, I usually don't like it when I'm supposed to feel sorry for these guys. But like I said, I don't feel sorry for Edmund. I'm more terrified of Edmund because of the journey he is going down. And I love that. You know, y'all gave him sad situations. Y'all gave him sad moments, and he betrayed them extremely well. And the fact that this man was reaching out for help multiple times, through hell, not just multiple times, to multiple people, and yet he got laughed at. He got pushed down. He basically got told to bury his head in the sand and roll over and die because nobody cared for him. And you see that he's trying to still be an uplifting person and be caring and kind, but he's slowly losing grip of reality here. And I don't think it helps that he's got a demon on his shoulder talking mad shit to him, going, yep, you done fucked up again, compadre. Yep, nobody likes you. And that's something about demons. I think we discussed this before here on the podcast. Demons are assholes. And their favorite thing to do is to go after vulnerable people like Edmund. So that's why I talk about the sorry thing, because I kind of feel sorry that this demon is here. I feel bad that he has been pushed down to the point that now he's got a demon over his left shoulder, basically trying to convince him to do terrible things. But I'm scared because this man's slow descent to madness is just gripping. It's gripping and it's powerful. And Luke James, you are a fantastic actor. I would like to see you do more things. Like, I'm being dead ass serious. I want to see you do more kick-ass things like this where you play a complicated character and it's magical. It's magical. I'm not even gonna lie, it's just magical. We got Joshua Williams, who plays Cal. He is Detective Reeves' son. Love this guy. I love this guy. I wish I could find more on the actor himself, but I really couldn't find anything. But I like Cal's character because Cal, I don't know what it is about these characters from this particular season, but they really try to add some depth to these characters. I'm having a bit of a stroke. they try to add some depth to these characters by giving them little quirks, little things you wouldn't normally see, but you notice because you don't see it a lot in television and movies. Kale, I am pretty sure, has OCD. And the reason why I say this is because, first of all, look at his room. Look at his room. And that's not me talking shit. This is me coming from experience here. I've seen OCD rooms. And the way he's got his room set up, you know, certain things lined up, certain, like, the patterns on his bed sheets with his pillows, the way he's got his pins lined up on his table and stuff. Yes, a lot of people like to use that as the fake OCD, and what I mean by the fake OCD, I mean the people who say, oh, I have OCD, and that's their only trait is, oh, I like to keep my pins perfectly like this, and blah, blah, blah. There's more to OCD than just that. And it ain't obsessive cleaning disorder. There's more to it. And Kale kind of shows it, because not only does he have his room a certain way, but it's the way he counts when he goes up the stairs. He flips on the light switch 3 times, and when his mom tries to get his attention, she flips on the light switch 3 times. So there's more to his OCD than just he likes to keep things straight and clean. Like he's got some tendencies there, and I like this. I like that little quirk there because it makes him feel more human, and I like. It's as weird as it sounds. I like it in writing when you can make the characters feel more real. Because unfortunately, in today's world, when you deal with the modern audience, and I say air quotes around that because who the fuck's watching half the shit people are putting out nowadays? It's not realistic. Like they think this is how people are portrayed. They think that, like with a gay person, they think that okay, they're gay. That's their only qualification. That's the only characteristic they have is, oh, they're gay. We hit that check mark. They're gay, that's it. No, there's more to a gay person. Like, case in point. And I'm honestly surprised. I haven't heard anybody talk about this character. I was watching Slasher Season 4, which, great show, by the way. I might do a ranking of that show at some point, maybe talk about one of my favorite seasons from that show. But the point is, there's a character in the show who is non-binary. Okay? Non-binary. I don't think she gave her pronouns, but she didn't freak out when her mother called her daughter or said, oh, my baby girl, or she's this. She's just non-binary who is a lesbian. She had more characteristics than just that, though. Like, they didn't just say, all right, she's non-binary, lesbian, boom, that's her whole character. No, she had complicated feelings. She actually had some character growth and development. We actually felt some things for her. And I'm pretty sure the reason why a lot of people aren't talking about her is because of the fact that she winds up dying. So they're like, oh, that's that nasty stereotype about the LGBTQ characters in horror movies and shows. They naturally die. Yeah, so does every other straight white person in a horror movie either. And what do we call that? Oh yeah, typical white people shit. The point is, they're not just these one stereotypes. There's more to these people. There's more to characters than just a stereotype. And it's just mind-boggling that we've gotten to this point in writing for TV shows and movies where that's just it. That's really just it. That's as far as they get when it comes to writing characters. They just go, okay, here's the one quirk, and that's it. Like, there's more to that than just one quirk. They have personalities. They got characteristics. They got charms, likes, dislikes. They even like characters. They can dislike characters. They can have arguments and other feelings. They're allowed to have conflicting emotions, and they're allowed to have black and white and gray areas to them. They don't just have to be a straight-edged thing. And I have to give Slasher credit, because these last 2 seasons that I watched from Shudder, not bad when it comes to the writing of the characters. Like, they have a lot of characters, a lot of representation in these characters. Like, I'm surprised, and, be on a little bit more of a tangent real quick. I'm surprised nobody's talking about season 5 of Slasher, The Ripper. Because, first of all, we got a black guy being a cop in the 19th century. Don't care about the time-accurate bullshit here, but the fact that it's a black leading man. I guess because he ain't black enough, it ain't important, huh? Like, he's a kind of a light-skinned black man. But he did a fantastic job throughout this entire show. He was like one of my favorite characters in this whole show. You got gay people. You got, yeah, you have a drag queen in there. The point is, diversity is in this show, but because it's not their one characteristic, I don't hear people talking about it. And I feel kind of butthurt that, you know, that's what Hollywood's saying. Oh, y'all don't want representation. Y'all don't care for representation. This is what representation we got, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, when there's actual real representation that makes the characters feel real and not just a checkbox, no word from Hollywood. No word from any of these fucking news articles talking some bullshit. No, we gotta focus on some other things. So it's refreshing to get into this show that can deal with heavy politic conversations, especially with today's media, like I said, but it's good writing. This is what I'm talking about when I say good writing, people. Good writing. You can have your messages and your propaganda and your fucking he say, she says and your here calls and whatever the hell you want. As long as it's written well and these characters are done well, nobody's going to care. We're going to watch the show and we're going to enjoy it. If your only aspect of a certain character, and I'm looking at you, Doctor Who. I'm looking at you and what bullshit is happening there. Oh my God, just like, I guess sci-fi time traveling shit just doesn't matter again in that show. I guess it's all about, the aliens don't even matter. The aliens, a show that used to be about aliens doesn't even talk about freaking aliens anymore. That's a sad factor. And you turned her into a Disney princess. I'm sorry, that bothers the hell out of me. The fact that they turned the Doctor into a Disney princess. Like, we made fun of Anna for falling in love with a man she had one song and a dance with. Like, seriously, there was a whole, like, you just met the man. It's true love. Like, that bullshit. Yeah, we made fun of Anna for that. That was the whole point of Anna's character, was to make fun of princesses like that. And you turned around and made Doctor Who literally do the exact same thing every Disney princess has ever did. He danced with one man and fell in love. It makes no sense. It really does. It doesn't even fit the Doctor's character, but that's a different conversation for a different podcast, because I could harp on how terrible the writing is for this new season of Doctor Who. That's why I don't watch it. I know, how can I put input on a show I don't watch? Because I watch a whole bunch of other review people break this shit down, so I don't have to. Because after I watched the first 2 episodes and saw the direction, I was like, there's no way. And I've been watching several people talk mad shit on this show and break it down, try to be unbiased and unopinionated as possible, but when it's bad, it's bad. And I just love the fact that, you know, everybody on the crew, you know, Davis, Godwin, all of them are saying it's our fault. It's our fault. Davis writing went to hell, and it's our fault. That's like doing homework. That's like, seriously, doing homework. And then turning it into the teacher, and then having another student come and rip up your homework, and then suddenly you get a 0 for it. How is that my fault? How is that my fault? Why is that not the guy who destroyed his fault? Why is it my fault? I just watch, man. I just watch. And if it ain't good, it ain't good. But I digress. I do apologize. Like, seriously, y'all have no idea how much that the shit harps me, because I love Doctor Who. I do. I love Doctor Who. It's one of my favorite shows of all time. It got me through a really rough patch in my life a couple of years ago. Like, I'm talking about back in 2014. I hit a low, and Doctor Who pulled me out of that shit. As stupid as that sounds, that's why I love Doctor Who, and it just breaks my heart to see where it's coming from. But it still fits in with this topic, because bad writing, Doctor Who. Good writing, them. Like, straight up. This is how you do diversity. This is how you do representation. This is how you do good fucking writing, Davis. I doubt you will ever see this, but maybe listen, open your ears, open your eyes, maybe take some notes or something. This is good fucking writing. This is good fucking writing. But I digress. Like I said, I do apologize, guys. I went on a little tangent there. My bad. Like, seriously, I've been holding this in for a while. You can obviously tell. I've been holding this in for like all weekend long. I've just been stewing on this. I do apologize. Anyway, guys, anyway. The point is, the quirks of Kel, the quirks of Dom, the quirks of Edmund make them feel real, and I love it. And the actors and actresses portraying them do a fantastic job just emulating these characters. And then you got Jeremy Bob. Is it Jeremy Bob or Blob? I have B-O, I think I have B-O-B-B. This is what I get for writing in bed, too, by the way. I was watching this whole show in my bedroom instead of at my desk, where I should have been watching it. But damn it, if I was going to watch an entire show, I wanted to sit down and at least be comfortable. Don't get me wrong, the chair's not too bad, but my bed's much more comfortable. It's a queen size, so I could sprawl out with my snacks and everything. But anyway, Jeremy, who plays Detective McKinney. I know him from Jessica Jones and from Gotham. He's always playing a douchebag cop, it seems like. The point is, he's a douchebag cop. And he made me uncomfortable. I'm not gonna lie. He made me physically uncomfortable. There was a moment, I want to say in episode 6, I think it was episode 6, that like there was just a whole scene in episode 6 that made me completely uncomfortable. Like 100%. And it was mainly because of the fact that I know he's an asshole. We as the audience know he's an asshole. But yet, the people he works with, because they back his little ass up, or his fat ass, as to say, excuse me, more, his fat ass up, they don't know. They don't know how much of an asshole he is. And it just makes me uncomfortable. But I love it because this guy is portraying an asshole extremely well. But we got a good cast. We got a good little castle lineup. I love the cast. I think the choice was very well. There's some other characters like Detective Diaz and, of course, Kel's dad. Fantastic actors. Love you guys. I just couldn't really find y'all on the Wikipedia for the casting list for some reason. I don't know. The Wikipedia for them is a little weird. Like, seriously, go look it up. Try to look up them season 2. It'll give you like a full retrospect Wikipedia of both seasons. I couldn't find the individual season. I don't know why. Maybe I was just typing it in wrong or something, but I digress. So let's dive on to some little fun facts real quick before we dive on into the show itself. So, it's an anthology series. So one of the big things they changed up is we're no longer in the Great Migration of the 1950s. We are in Los Angeles of 1991. Still in LA. But we done moved up, I think, about 40 years or so. Now, like I said, the racism is still here, but the biggest racism is black versus blue. Now, this is, I'm gonna be honest, this is a little hard to talk about because I was kind of there, kind of wasn't. I was more there for the after effect kind of thing, and let me explain. So, the incident in question legitimately happened back in 1991. It's the Rodney King incident. For those of y'all who don't know, back in 91, Rodney King was severely beaten. I'm talking about, I don't think he necessarily died that particular day. I want to say it was a couple of days later or a few weeks later he died. But we're all pretty sure he died of his injuries. But he was beaten to death by these racist ass white cops. And it made news because not only was it a group of racist ass white cops just beating the shit out of this poor innocent man, it was recorded. It was recorded by some people. And they uploaded it, and it started a fucking riot. And I mean a real riot. I'm talking about cops were... Y'all think that the situation with the George Floyd incident was bad? Oh no, Rodney King turned that shit up to an 11. I'm talking about there was no trust, no love, no respect for the cops or for the black community on both sides. It almost felt like. now don't get me wrong, there were some cops who did try to fix the situation. As we see with Dawn, she's put in a similar predicament a lot of cops were at the time, because at this point they're kind of phasing out the black versus white in the policing department, where, you know, they're not arguing over each other, that they're just an affirmative hire kind of thing, which we do dive into that a little bit as the show progresses. But as the years progressed on, you know, we've stepped away from that. But during this time, it was a hot ass button of conversation. So imagine being a black cop in a situation like this. It's hard. It's really hard. And the reason why I say I'm kind of there, kind of wasn't, was because I was born in 93, the whole incident happened in 91, and there was still fallout damage even years and years later. And one of my friends who I went to school with, one of her relatives was involved in some situations up in LA. So I heard a lot of stories and stuff from my friends, even though we probably shouldn't have been relaying this information when we were in elementary school. But, you know, kids ask questions, especially around Black History Month and why people act the way they do. You know, kids have questions. And, of course, you know, her mom, nice enough to sit down and talk about it with us. You know, kind of like how Dawn sits down with Kale and talks about the situation. That's basically what her mom did with us. She sat down and talked about it. It didn't matter that I was white and they were black. And, you know, I had the same question she did. Why? Why would something like this happen? And she explained it. It's a terrible tragedy what wound up happening. And it's something not many people will forget. Because it's one of the biggest catalysts of why people just don't trust cops. People just don't trust cops. And this is like one of those big reasons. Because, I mean, seriously, it took a group of, 4 or 5 white cops to be racist assholes just to pick on one guy for being black. Like, seriously, there's no trust there. And we see that throughout the show. There is no trust at all. And that's a real thing that was happening. Like, people didn't want to talk to cops. Like, seriously, you could have been robbed at gunpoint and, like, stripped naked and all your shit was taken. You would have rather have just sat in your apartment in silence, butt-ass naked, than call the cops to tell them someone broke into your apartment and stole all your shit. It was that bad. It was that bad. And again, I wasn't there for a lot of this experience. This is just what I was told throughout this experience. So, I'm not saying that I know what the hell I'm talking about or anything like that. So, don't get me wrong. I really don't. But I feel like this is an aspect that we do need to discuss if we're going to continue on with this show. Because it's everywhere. It's everywhere. The whole blacks not trusting cops, it's all over this show. And literally the Rodney King beatdown that we see, or that was actually recorded in real life, we see that everywhere throughout this show. Like, I mean, Kale's watching it, Dawn watches it at one point. Of course, you know, the massive news media, they're all talking about it as well, kind of almost repeating the same freaking video almost. And I'm just like, why is this even okay? Like, straight up, why is that even okay to show off this home video? Like, it's the news, I get it, but still, I feel like they can at least blur some stuff out. But, you know, it was the 90s. It was the 90s, different time. But you'll see that a lot throughout the show, though, a lot of black versus blue, and you see Dawn be put in some uncomfortable situations, not only for being a cop, but for also being a black woman and as a cop. Like, you see a lot of this shit. So it's everywhere, but like I said, unlike the first season where it's like in your face and they're actually dropping the N-word, like, I still can't believe it. They didn't just drop it once either. They dropped it multiple times. I'm just like, I get it was written by a black man, but is this okay? Like, is this okay? Like, straight up, is this okay? Like, I didn't know how to feel about that. But here, I don't think, I could be wrong, but I don't think anyone really necessarily drops the N-word. I mean, she does get called a black bitch at one point, but other than that, I don't think anyone calls her the N-word. Now, McKinney does use the whole, you people, we give you people with power, we give you people with guns. He does that shit. That's still fucking racist, but it's not like he calls her the N-word or anything, so I give kudos. Maybe they learned their lesson from the first season, and maybe not drop that, because that was definitely a culture shock of a moment. I'm not gonna lie, because again, I've heard it in rap songs. And I've heard it, used, playfully with the A instead of the hard R and all that. But no, they literally use the hard R version. And it's just, I get it, it's for context. She's a racist piece of shit. She had to say it, but I'm just like, I still can't believe it. Like, how much did they pay her to say that? Like, it was crazy. But, like I said, they changed that, so you don't have to worry about that. I was very happy about that. Now, before we dive into these episodes, there is 2 more things I want to talk about. First of all, we went from 10 episodes to 8 episodes. So it should be a little bit of a shorter podcast. That's a plus. And second, I feel like 10 episodes, even though it made sense for a lot of the stuff that was going on in the first season, I feel like some of the stuff could have maybe been cut out, maybe condensed or something to make the 8 episodes. But what we have in these 8 episodes here in this season is phenomenal. Like, they put in as much detail, creativity behind each of these episodes. I'm not saying it's like a perfect show by no means. Like, don't get me wrong, it's not perfect. There's still some things I just don't like, and like I said, there's just an entire scene that made me uncomfortable, and it's mainly because of what's going on in the scene. It's mainly what's going on. It's a great scene. It's just, I tuned out because it made me uncomfortable, because it's just how I feel when watching movies and TV shows and situations like this happen. Like, we all seen it, especially like in superhero movies and stuff, where we know that our like, Spider-Man. We know the fact at the end of No Way Home, or was it Far From Home? Well, we're basically when Mysterio dies. We all know our boy Spider-Man didn't do that. We as the audience sat there and witnessed this. We know, he is good. He's the good guy. But because nobody else was there to witness this, and we're nothing more than a fourth wall imagination thing for this movie, our voices cannot be heard. Everybody else knows or thinks that Spider-Man's the bad guy. And so we're left there hearing people talk mad shit on somebody we care about. And it's the same situation. Dawn's put in a moment where we know she is an innocent noodle. She is a good person. She did not do these things. It's whatever the scare is, it's fucking with her and everything else. But her superiors don't know this. So they're over there just like cornering her, putting her in a little box, just making her say things they want her to say to incriminate her so they can press charges and shit. And it was just a very uncomfortable scene. It was just very, like, first of all, I didn't like it because of the fact that it made me uncomfortable. But also, I didn't feel like it was necessary. Like, we could have had a conversation where, the detective or the lieutenant or whatever pulls her to the side and argues with her and then get like straight up says, I'm not firing you, but I am suspending you without pay or some bullshit like that. Like, why did we have to go through a whole bullshit mock trial here and basically try to make it look like she is just a crazy woman? Like, I didn't like that. Maybe when I rewatch the second half of the podcast, I might have a different perspective on that, but at that current moment, it's not one of my favorite scenes. It makes me uncomfortable, and I zone the fuck out. But with these 8 episodes, though, they do a great job trying to fill you in with all the best information and all the best scares, I will say. And last but not least, the sound and music. Oh my god, the sound effects were great. It's that bone crunching sound that's just terrifying. And the sound that is done anytime the scare is on scene or is mentioned to a degree. Ooh, excuse-moi. It makes it like this weird humming, buzzing noise. And it's very, very creepy, very atmospheric. And I love it. But enough gushing about this fantasticness. Why don't we go ahead and dive on into our first episode? That's actually titled "Are You Scared?" Now, here's something I noticed about the titles to all the episodes. They're name dropped in the show. They're literally name dropped in the show, and I didn't catch that to the second time around. I was like, I see what you did there. That's clever. So episode 1 starts off with a quote from Aristotle's: "Fear is pain arising from the anticipation of evil." What did Aristotle mean by that? I don't know. I'm not a philosopher over here. But what I'm probably gathering is we scare ourselves anticipating the amount of evil that's really out there, when that is a true statement. That is kind of true. Like, we all know how terrible the world is and how evil the world can be. Not everybody is that evil, though, so you can't let that fear cripple you from going outside, if that makes any sense. So, I'm gonna be honest, this first scene told me a lot, but didn't tell me a lot at the same time, but I kind of saw this shit coming. So, the first thing we start off where we hear a guy breathing heavily underneath a sack, and we're in, I want to call it what I originally called it, written down right here, the knockoff Five Nights at Freddy's party moment here, because this is what it's like, because the dude's tied up to a chair with a sack over his head, and there's like these weird animatronics in the background singing about, "I don't want to grow up, I don't want to grow up, I don't want to go to school." Like, I don't even know what the hell that song is, but it's just, it gives me Five Nights at Freddy vibes. Either that or that moment from Resident Evil 7 where you're dealing with the brother. Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no. Point is, guy's freaking out. We cut to black when a hand comes out of nowhere to grab the sack. And the reason why I say this information, or the scene gave me so much information and not at the same time, is because that hand, that one hand, I spent not even 5 minutes staring at that hand going, I know exactly who the killer is. I've been watching the slashers so much, and, with slasher, it's all about the killers and everything, so you're trying to guess whether it's a man or a woman. So I've been looking at the hands. I don't know why, I've been looking at the hands recently, so as soon as I saw the glove, I was like, okay, very petite hand, but it's not a woman's hand, it's kind of masculine, so it's a small man. Right then and there, I was just like, well, there's only 2 options here, and I don't think they're going to make Tails be the bad guy here. And it's got to be the other guy we're conveniently cutting to this entire time as well. So I don't know if they're trying to keep that a secret, or that's just me looking way too heavy into a hand here. But yeah, I knew kind of right off the bat as soon as we got to Edmund who the killer was and where that was kind of going. Now, what threw me off was 2 things. 2 things, by the way. One, the timeline thing. The timeline thing. If y'all don't know what I'm talking about, you find out, I think, in episode 6, maybe 5, it could be 5 or 6, where you think Edmund and Dawn are on the same timeline, but in actual reality, I think he's 3 years ahead of us. I think, not ahead of us, behind us. I think he's in 87, and Dawn's in 91. But it all rides back around, I'm gonna be honest. All rides back around. And second, I'm gonna be honest, kind of lost my train of thought when it came to the second thing. But the point is, I did not see the timeline thing. Second thing came back to me now. I originally thought we were watching Edmund as the killer himself before he became whatever the scare was. I was assuming he was already a serial killer to begin with, and what we were watching was like one of his many kills, or one of the many things we're gonna see the bodies and shit. That's what I was assuming. Boy, was I wrong on that, but we'll get there when we get there. So after that, we cut to Dawn awakening to go to work. It's her birthday. It's Los Angeles, 1991. It looks like LA. It just looks like LA. But throughout the scene, you see a kind of a loving moment, loving family, Athena, wishing Dawn a happy birthday, she can't wait for her to come home, she's gonna have a good time, good day at work, Kayla, wish your mom a happy birthday, happy birthday, Mom, like, I love that, 'cause that's typical kid right there, typical kid, won't even come out of the bed to wish your mom a happy birthday, but it's too early in the morning for this shit, that's all I'm saying. So after that, and we kind of get like a feel of Dawn's house and the environment she's in. It's very loving and caring. We then cut to the intense streets of Los Angeles, and she's heading to a crime scene. Now, this crime scene is the crime scene that starts all the crime scenes. As she's walking up, of course, she's got a little recorder, and she's taking notes, okay, street light is out, porch light was turned off, so that means nobody can see what's going on when sneaking up onto this front porch. And as she's doing this, of course, she's got Detective Diaz and McKinney with her. Fuck McKinney, and Diaz, he's trying to be cool and, offer her breakfast and shit, and she don't want it. But as they're walking, going towards the house, we see other cops puking and freaking out about being in this house. And, Diaz is, of course, like, man, people, it's real ugly in there. It's real ugly in there. So we're like, oh, God, what the hell? We get into this house, and, of course, she continues on talking about, the mold, and that it's hot, and all the windows are closed. Apparently, it's 90 degrees in this freaking house. 90 degrees. No wonder there's so much mold. But she talks about this broken clock and has maybe a set time from when the incident took place. She talks about the broken doors. She then goes into the living room, and they keep following this massive set of wires that are just traveling through the hallways and gets to the bedroom. You see not one, not two, not three, not four, but like 20, maybe 25 TVs all plugged in, all stacked up, all basically like a scene from the VH1 movies. Not VH1. That's a that's an old television network that no longer exists, for one. Second, VHS, the movie series. Anybody seen that? If you have, you know what I'm talking about. Where I think back in the first movie, there was like an overarching narrative of like a bunch of TVs all playing different VHSs or something like that. I can't remember. I remember there were a whole bunch of fucking TVs. And we're seeing something very similar to that. And of course, Dawn, she got, mark this down on her little tape recorder. And she goes over to the closet, and she opens the closet up, and she's like, dirty diapers, broken toys, a box, imprint right here in the corner. And as she goes to get up, her heart starts racing. We know this because we could hear it. It's one of those like loud effects, that ba-dum, 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 that thing we all hear and see in television when we know a character has a heart problem. That's what's going on right now. And of course we hear that creepy ass humming, that score that comes in when we're talking about the scare. Comes in as, Dawn comes back from her little heart problem. Diaz like, hey, Detective Reeves, you alright? Yeah, I'm cool. Well, you want, and of course he does the typical, you want to come take a look at this, detective. He does that line, that epic line. As they continue following down the hallway, you see the line of cleaning supplies just lined up, kind of a little trail leading to the kitchen. And in the kitchen is where the body's at. Now, we get this really nice moment of, as she is describing the body, this is broken, this is disjointed, this is here and there, and she's bending down at the sink. And we know Miss Ma, the victim in this situation, has been put in the sink. But we're just getting little glimpses and like little flashes of what she looks like as Reeves is reading off what she sees, and that humming's in the background. And it's just really well done, because it's a build up to the shock value of what happens to this woman, because she didn't just die. Oh no, she did not just die. No, she got mutilated. torn. I hate to say torn apart. Her bones were broken. She was like a Raggedy Ann doll and balled up into a ball and then shoved into this cabinet in the most uncomfortable way possible. And you find out in episode 2, by the way, she is alive. She was alive for this. What sick bastard could do this? Not human, for one, but second, not human. Okay, I might have lied about the reasoning, but the point is, this not human did this, and you can see, because seriously, have you ever tried to get underneath the kitchen sink? It's the most uncomfortable thing ever. First of all, second, just the way her body is placed in there. Best way I can describe it. And again, for those of y'all who are here just to hear my weird ramblings about a show you may be curious about but don't want to watch, I'll do my best to describe it. And if not, and you've seen the show and you're just here because you love my crazy input on certain shows, first of all, welcome back. Second, y'all get the visualization I'm trying to lay out here. But the point is, she is like... Okay, I'm really trying to describe it here. Alright, so imagine her torso, right? Her torso, like her chest area is like pushed down on the cabinet sink itself, like in the sink. Her legs are pulled up over her shoulders and twisted. Her arms are twisted behind her and pulled up over and more twisting. And then her head is basically twisted again. And it's like upside down, mouth wide open, eyes bugged out, and she's a mangled mess here. She's a mangled from Five Nights at Freddy's over there, like, dear God, girl, pull yourself together. But the point is, it's an amazing reveal to see this body. After basically having Reese describe it to you, we see little flashes here and there. I absolutely love it, though. Thought it was a great build-up. After that, we then cut to our boy, Edmund. Now, this is our first introduction to Edmund. We get a bit of a different flow for Edmund, where Dawn woke up on her birthday. Beautiful day. Mom's there. We love you. You know, Kale's there. Mom, you're the best. Edmund's alone. Edmund's sitting in a locker room in his underwear, listening to a self-help tape. A self-help tape. Okay? Now, the self-help tape is important because of who it's, basically the book it's reading. But we'll get there when we get there. But the point is, he is alone, needing help from a tape to lift his spirits up. He doesn't have that family connection that we saw Dawn have off the bat. He's over here by himself, got to hike himself up for the day. But we hear the tape. And it kind of gets a little creepy. I'm not going to lie. It gets a little creepy. I guess it's because he rewinds it and listens to it so much. It's distorted, almost. It's basically distorted. It almost sounds like a demonic voice speaking to him. So I don't know if it is because the voice is speaking to him. Because we hear the demon at some point speak to him. But it could be the fact that he listens to this tape so much, it's just distorted. But the whole point of the tape is all about releasing yourself from your fear. I see a theming going on here in this episode. But he gets done listening to the tape. And you see him put this little piggy headpiece on. You're like, oh my God, is he a mascot for a basketball team or football team? You know, is he this? Is he that? He's a mascot, all right, to a knockoff Chuck E. Cheese place. Yeah, no, he comes out, he's, I think, like Cheddar the Pig or something. He comes out and he dances for the kids. And you know what's great? You know what's really great? During this scene, you see that he enjoys this. He generally enjoys performing for these kids. Just performing in general, in general. But you see that he enjoys doing this. He enjoys putting on this show. The kids are having a great time. This is something he loves to do. His bosses, not so much. So apparently after his cute little dance, his boss pulls him aside and basically reprimands him for doing his own thing. He's just like, I didn't send in the choreography to the company just for you to change it. Like, there's a reason I made the choreography, okay? We don't need you accidentally kicking a kid and suing this place. We don't need you doing that. Stick to the script, okay? Stick to it. Don't get off of it. Kind of, chastising him. Like, well, like, bro, the kids had a good time. Even he's just like, the kids enjoyed it. I don't care what the kids enjoyed. Motherfucker, you seem like that type of boss who is 27, who's got nothing going on in his life, no girlfriend, no lover, you probably live with your mother, and you're a miserable, miserable man. You will live a miserable life, you will die by a miserable life. But the point is, the man is pathetic, and I hate him, and I really wish something bad would have happened to him, but unfortunately that doesn't happen. Negative 10 points taken off to Gryffindor for that. I kid. But still, though, it is disappointing that an asshole like him doesn't get his comeuppings. Can't stand people like that. But anyway, the point is, he's got to go for an audition. So after being reprimanded, he leaves for an audition. We then go to Dawn. And Dawn's at work, or heading into work. And we see the protest. The cops are just trying to do their job, and the people are protesting the existence of cops, just their bare existence, the fact that they want justice for Rodney King, so they're all pretty mad. And as Dawn comes in, of course, there's like these two white cops standing there talking mad shit, going, yeah, this is crazy, yeah, like, he was a beast, though, he was an animal, like, motherfucker, he was a human being, go hug a landmine. Or something. Go take... I hate people like that. The point is, Dawn comes in, says something, they split off, and right before she's about to walk off, this attorney guy shows up and tries to flirt with her, like right off the bat, just says something to her, and she just leans back. She doesn't even look at him. She just leans back and just tells him to, take 12 steps back, and he's just like, oh, unless you got those handcuffs. And she's like, just get out of here. It was warranted. It was a warranted flirtation, by the way. Like, apparently they're dating or something. I don't know. This is one of those, another aspect I didn't like. Is because this character, this dude, first of all, I didn't catch the dude's name. Second, he really doesn't add too much to the show. Like, you really could have cut his character out and it wouldn't have changed a single thing going on in Dawn's life. Because I think he shows up for 2 more scenes. There's a scene in a later episode where they wind up having sex in the pool. And then a scene where I think they break up. Like, straight up. Like, there's really no point in this character. I guess, maybe to say Dawn being a single mom, she needs to get a little noogie on the side or something. I don't know. But Dawn, after she, comes in and flirting with the guy, she talks to her lieutenant. Which, funny enough, I forgot to make a mention about this in the casting list. The dude who plays the lieutenant, I knew I recognized him. I was looking at him after 5 episodes. I was like, that's the dude from Jurassic Park. It's the guy. It's the fat guy from Jurassic Park. The one that got eaten by the spitting dinosaurs in the Jeep. Think what, the Dilophosaurus, is that what they're called? The spitting ones? The point is, it's the dude, it's Ed, or Ned from fucking Jurassic Park. I was just like, holy shit. It took me way too long to figure that out, but I was literally staring at him like, I know this man. Where do I know him from? But it's been a couple of years, assuming anything, so, it took me a minute. But the lieutenant and her are talking back and forth about whether or not she should work this case. She wants to work the case. She really wants to work this case. But he doesn't feel confident in letting her work this case because she apparently had an incident where she was chasing another serial killer called the Southside Slasher. I think that's what he's called. The hash-slinging slasher or something like that. But the hash-ringing, the slash-dinging, the rash-ringing, dinging... Yes, SpongeBob, the hash-slinging slasher. but only in this ghost. sorry. That just had a moment there. The point is, she was chasing after this killer, and there was I guess a situation. I don't know if it necessarily involved the killer per se, but the point is she didn't solve that case. And then there's an incident where she beat the shit out of a guy because he's a pimp or something like that. It was basically she beat the shit out of him, and it didn't look good because, well, first of all, police brutality. But yeah, they don't have time for this, especially with the whole Rodney King incident. So he doesn't know how to feel about this. But she's really adamant about wanting to do this. So he's like, all right, I'll put you on the case with McKinney. She ain't happy about that, neither am I. But she don't like the way he works because he works too quick. He judges too quick, and he's racist. He's a racist piece of shit. He says, "Oh, I'm not." No, he is. He is. He's one of those racists. I'm not. I can't be racist. I dated a black girl once. Motherfucker, that makes no sense ever. That's like saying I'm Japanese because I had a friend that's from Japan one time. Like seriously, I actually knew a guy from Japan. Apparently he's still there now. His name was Ethan. Okay, let me phrase that. He wasn't like born and raised in Japan. He moved to Japan and then came back and then moved back to Japan. He was an army brat. Long story short, he was an army brat. Point is, that's where I'm going at with that. The fact that because I know someone doesn't make me Japanese. Okay? Like, because you dated a black person doesn't mean you're not racist, man. Does not mean you're not racist. Okay? It just means you're a prick. Just means you're a freaking prick. Now, don't get me wrong. He had me going for a little while where I just thought maybe we're misconstruing his temperament as a cop as false racism. Like, we're just assuming he's racist because, you know, he's kind of giving off that vibe, but he's not really. And then he kind of confirms later on, he's just a fucking racist. He's literally just a racist. He's a piece of shit. Not gonna lie, though. He had me going in the first half. Point is, she don't want to work with McKinney because of all that shit, but she gotta bite the bullet anyway. So, we then cut to McKinney and Dawn trying to talk to the teenager who lived in Miss Maud's house because she is a foster mom. And I hate this scene. Because I hate McKinney. McKinney is adamant about Michael, this 16-year-old boy. 16! He's adamant that this kid killed this woman, broke every bone in her body, and then shoved her in this cabinet because he's big enough, right? Like, he's been called to that house before. Miss Maud's a bitch. She can be abusive. What are we saying? You and your friends might have ganged up on her because you got tired of it one night. And the entire time, McKinney's saying this shit. Not only is he upsetting me, he is upsetting Dawn, and he's upsetting Michael. And Michael's getting more and more agitated because not only is he saying this shit, but the motherfucker cannot stop cracking his stupid ass knuckles. Like, I'm being dead ass. Like, he's like cracking every fucking bone in his body. He's like, I gotta pop the pinky, the thumb. I gotta crack this one. I gotta crack my neck. And you can see it is aggravating the hell out of this kid. Because it's like PTSD flashback for this man. Like, this poor kid is just, freaking out the entire time as McKinney's just laying in on him. And Dawn eventually has enough and it's just like, listen, you're 16-year-old. You can't talk to anybody without a lawyer present. Do you want a lawyer present? And of course this kid, and tears, I'm talking about tears, are streaming down this poor kid's face. He says yes to the attorney. It pisses McKinney off. But fuck him. Fuck McKinney. Like, I'm sorry. First of all, you should not be talking to a 16-year-old kid without a legal guardian or an attorney present because he is a child. Second, you could tell every time he cracked his knuckles, the kid flinched. The kid got upset. And you can see McKinney noticed this and kept fucking doing it. That's one of the many reasons why I don't like McKinney. one of the many reasons. So after that intense moment, we cut back to Edmund. He is doing an audition. Now this is kind of the softness I need a little bit, especially after that moment. And when I mean softness, I mean goofiness, because I feel so bad for Edmund, because he's trying, but he's too soft. He's too soft to play these type of characters. But he's auditioning to be, I shit you not, gangster number 1 or something. Okay, not really gangster number 1, because that was a reference made by Rhonda later on. But he's apparently trying to play a gangster, a fucking hoodlum or something like that. I don't know. He's dressed to the nines with a do-rag and a tracksuit. And they're just like, alright, say your name and say the line. And of course, you know, the line is, these motherfuckers gonna come into my house, into my territory, they're gonna fuck with me, or I'm gonna put a cap in their ass. That's the actual line. Now, let me tell you something. What I just portrayed right there was more of a gangster than what Edmund has ever done in his life, because as Edmund's trying to say it, he's just like, listen here, motherfucker, I'm gonna put a gap in your ass. Oh, okay. Wait, hang on, let me do that again. Listen here, motherfucker. Like, he is stumbling. You could tell this is not the role for him. He's just too soft for this role. But while he's trying, the fucking cameraman won't shut the hell up with his laughing. Like, this man could do such a wonderful job. That's why you're the cameraman at an audition place and not in front of the camera, because you're such a great actor. You are such a great I cannot stand people like that who think, you know, just because you're seeing something shitty in your face doesn't mean you can't do better. Like, bro, just don't laugh at him. Like, you can maybe laugh behind closed doors when the actor's not in your fucking face, but don't be an asshole. Unfortunately, because of that, he doesn't get the role, so he proceeds to walk out, just head down. He's head down. He's sad. He's walking by the other gangsters, all conveniently wearing red. That I didn't get. Why is Edmund the only one wearing a green tracksuit with a do-rag? Everybody else is wearing Crip Bloods. Like, seriously, everybody else looks like they came out of the Crips. I don't get it. Maybe he's the character and he like belonged to a Crip member or something. I don't know. I don't know my gangs. Poor Edmund though, he's head all the way to the ground. He's upset. But there's a very nice lady named Rhonda that sees him. She's like, "How did it go?" It's not the part for me. Well, that's okay. I think you will find the part. Don't give up. Keep trying. Like, she gives him that pep he needs, that inspiration he needs. You know, that keep going talk. You know, that conversation a lot of people need in life. Just don't give up on your dreams, man. You got this. But she's really, really nice to him. And in return, he kind of invites her and her kid to his workplace to come hang out and everything. And he gives her some tokens and stuff. And she's a little taken aback by this. She's just like, "Oh, you remembered I had a kid. Oh, that's so sweet. Yeah, sure. I'll totally come by. Totally." And she does. She really does. She honestly does. But, yeah, no, she is that positivity that he needs right now. Okay? Like, she is that positivity. But I'm going to be honest. At this current moment when we first meet Edmund, his life is not totally bad. Like, he's got a decent job. He's got a little hobby going on. He's just trying. But as the show progresses, we're going to see that slowly start dwindling down to he's got nothing left to live for. Anyway, after that, we see him go to his car and he sits down and he starts saying these lines from the script. Motherfucker, I'm gonna put a cap in your ass. He starts saying shit like he actually knows more of the actual dialogue. But as he's saying this, it becomes night. which means he's been sitting in his car this entire time having a mental breakdown because of the cameraman Donovan. Donovan has royally fucked up here. Not only has he become like the target of Edmund's hatred later on, but he does not help the situation. And he actually, I'm gonna be honest, makes things a hell of a lot worse by talking mad shit. And by mad shit, I mean laughing his ass off at the camera person, being behind the, I'm having a stroke here. He made his own bullshit because he couldn't stop laughing behind the camera. That's all I'm trying to say here, people. But oh my god, just poor Edmund though. Poor Edmund about this whole situation. But you see in this scene though that he is not mentally all there. The fact that he is sitting in his car all day, saying these pieces of dialogue over and over again, and as Donovan comes out, he gets more and more angry, like he's really feeling that gangster role now. And you can just kind of see that maybe Edmund is not so sweet and caring after all. Maybe he does have a bit of a dark side we should all probably be extremely worried about. So then we cut to Dawn coming home, and as she comes home, she sees a dent in her mom's car. And her mother, being her mother, you know, doesn't really want to necessarily talk about that, but we'll get there in a second. She, you know, like I said, Dawn comes home, sees the dent, says something to her mother through the window, and, you know, mom's like, we'll talk about it in a minute. She goes to the shed where Cale is actually drumming. And he's a fantastic drummer, by the way, which really sets in with his little quirk about being OCD. Because I want to say, it may not necessarily be OCD he has, like just OCD. Like I said, there's more to him. And I don't want to necessarily say he's on the spectrum, but there's other things he does that seems a little childish. And I mean mainly like, not tantrums. He doesn't throw tantrums. But when he gets upset, he kind of shuts down the way an autistic person shuts down, where they kind of cover their ears and they start crying and kind of put themselves into a small corner. And I can kind of see that, especially with the fact that he's really, really good with the drums. He doesn't really like make eye contact with a lot of people. He's always fidgeting with the drumstick itself. So again, there's a lot more to Cale. And it's just another little aspect I like about him. The fact that he's a drummer. And he's a really good drummer, too. He's a really good drummer. But, you know, Dawn lets him know she's home. She puts the little light switch on. He says, coming. And then we get into the house. She finds out she's got a card from her ex-husband, but she don't care. And then she's like, well, Mom, I don't want to talk about my ex-husband. I want to talk about your hands. Because I feel like your hands are the reason we have a dent in the car now. And she's like, listen, it had nothing to do with my hands. I just was not paying attention. And I backed into the trash cans. Okay? Like, I'm sorry, but it's okay. It has nothing to do with my hands. I'm good. We're all good. Kind of hinting that something's going on with Athena and her hands. And I originally thought arthritis, and I thought she was hiding arthritis, but as the show progresses, we'll see there's probably a little bit more to that than just arthritis. But after that, we cut to a cute little moment of them celebrating Dawn's birthday. And it's so cute because it's a loving moment. It's a very loving family moment of them just goofing off, you know. Oh, look at this picture. 'Cause she got a picture of her when she was a kid. And they were making fun of her haircut and all this shit. And it's a very nice moment. I love this moment because it's a real family moment. But that moment is shortly cut. Because after we have this moment, the camera pans out, right? And we're still watching everybody at the dinner table talking, cutting the cake, eating the shit. But then the camera pans over to the kitchen. And as we are zooming into the window, we see the lights in the kitchen are flickering. The lights by the shed are flickering. And as we get closer to the shed, to the window towards the shed, of course the lights go out. Now, this is something I didn't see until I paused it. you look at the window frame for half a millisecond, I shit you not, you gotta look quickly now, you gotta look quickly. You see a smile in the window frame. A actual creepy ass, wide-eyed smile, and it's creepy as hell. It is creepy as hell. The moment I saw that scene, I was just like, I'm gonna love this show, because it spooked me. Because I saw it. I saw his eyeballs before I saw anything else, and I was like, wait a minute. Went back and saw that. I was like, oh hell. Oh hell. But I loved it. So after, and also, with that scene, we had the amazing humming sound that I absolutely just adore when it comes to the sound effects for the scare. So we cut to Edmund, and he's at work, normal shit at work, meets up with Rhonda, and we learn a little bit about Rhonda. She has an ex-husband who's a piece of shit, not very good with kids. She loves the fact that Edmund's really good with kids. And, there's a little flirtation going on. She really likes him. He's a downtrodden, caring guy, down to earth. She likes him. So she's willing to put her neck out on the line. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to find you a role just for you that I know you're going to like. I'm going to find you just the right role. I promise you. And when I do, I'll call you. You know what? Here's my number. And he's like, you know what? Here's my number. So it's looking great for Edmund. He's got this really nice girl right here. He's got this really nice job. And we see this moment of happiness for him. He's like jumping around the bouncy castle with the kid. And, we see, yes, he's a little awkward, a little shy. Not overly shy, but he's great with kids. Like, we see this whole little scene with Rhonda's kid within him that's absolutely adorable. And you can see that deep down inside, he's just a guy filled with anxiety. Like, he doesn't necessarily want to be a bad guy. He just has tendencies, psycho tendencies to be precise. But the point is, he's an actual decent guy. If he didn't have these psycho tendencies and maybe had a community, people surrounding him that love him and maybe brought him up, he probably could have been a different type of person. And we can kind of see that here, that if he actually had the correct support system, he could have probably had a pretty decent life, but Edmund don't get that lucky. Edmund did not get that lucky. So then we got back to Dawn, who went to, I guess, an orphanage or something. I don't know exactly where this kid's at, but she's talking to the youngest child that was there living at Mott's house, which is Michael's sister. And of course, the girl's a little bit in shock. She's worried about her brother. So Dawn, being a wonderful fucking person, tries to talk to the little girl personally. Oh, you like Ninja Turtles? Yeah, so does my son. Oh, which one did he like? Was it Donatello? Was it Michelangelo? And of course, the little girl, that's, a little connection right there. A little bit of connection. So she opens up a little bit. And she talks, about her doll, about Miss Mott saying, oh, I'm too old to play with dolls. And she's like, oh, honey, you're not too old to play with dolls. Trust me. At least you have friends to play with. I'm so lame. I had to make an imaginary friend to play with me. So you're not too old for dolls. But can you tell me what happened? Can you tell me exactly what happened? So she kind of explains that Miss Mott, not the nicest woman in the world, very abusive. That was rather obvious from just the shock of how the kids are acting about the situation. And the house itself. It didn't seem like a loving environment, to be honest. But that week that she was going to, the week of basically her death, she was acting weird. She wasn't acting as aggressive as she normally does towards the kids. She was acting fearful, scared even. She refused to go to sleep. And we have a little bit of a flashback here where we kind of see through the kids' eyes what the hell is going on. And we see that she had all 50 TVs plugged in that night. She was screaming that he's in the house. He's in the house. She's got the kids on her arms. She is petrified. This woman is just screaming out of pure fucking terror here. But eventually the house goes quiet. The little girl wakes up and sees that everybody else is asleep, and she looks over through the doorway and she can hear something. And as she listens, we can hear someone go, "No, no," and then an audible crunch. A sound of bones cracking and snapping and twisting. And then unfortunately, when we come back out of that little flashback, the little girl is just sucking her thumb, crying and freaking out, thinking about this moment. Because I'm sure for a child, it's terrifying. That is terrifying to hear such ghastly noises, especially in the middle of the night. Just a I mean, like, oh, I can't even properly recreate the sound because, again, how well the sound design was. It's creepy, though. It's creepy. We then have a moment with Athena during this moment, where Dawn, by the way, where Athena is chopping up vegetables, and as she is chopping the vegetables up, she thinks she cut her hand, and she backs up, and then we see her stare at her hand, and we see that they're fucking shaking, like she's literally shaking, like she's scared or something. But she's not scared, but you can see something's going on with her hands for sure, because she is trembling. We then have a moment with Edmund again, and Edmund is now digging through this chest in this closet. We hear cartoons going on in the background, so we see that something else is more up with Edmund. You know, he's got like a very childlike mind, and I feel that because sometimes I'd rather watch cartoons than have the news on. You know, I believe that, but that's just Edmund. He loves his cartoons, and as he's digging through his toy box, he pulls out a Raggedy Andy doll. Not Raggedy Ann, Raggedy Andy. And of course he hugs it and he loves it. Now, originally I thought that was a little weird that, you know, we keep cutting to Edmund, you know, during this scene with him listening to the cartoons and then with his Raggedy Andy doll. I'm like, why exactly do we need this moment? And it makes sense now when I went back and rewatched it with all the information I already know. We're getting a better kind of insight into Edmund's mind, and that he is very childlike. Like, he's not a child, you know, he's not trying to be a child, but he's very childlike. You know, again, he'd rather have cartoons. He, you know, still got a toy box full of toys and stuff. It's mainly because he cannot get past the trauma of him as a child. Like, he is stuck being a child because he doesn't want to grow up because he never had a childhood. And we'll get there when we get there. But poor Edmund, man. We then cut to Dawn coming home. And once she is home, she sees that everybody's asleep. So she's like, all right, class of detective time, guys. She moves the little island in her kitchen. Starts putting the pictures down she took at the crime scene. And she's listening to her tape. And she's trying to recreate how Miss Mott got stuck into the sink. Like, she's trying to recreate it, and she's realizing that this is feasibly impossible for her. You know, she's all cramped up. So it's impossible for her to be put in this position the way she was. But as Dawn is listening to this, she starts hearing this weird noise. So she stops the tape, and she goes back and listens to it again. She hears a weird noise, but still can't hear it. So again, it goes to the classic ghosts on camera or ghost caught on a video camera thing, where we keep having to rewind it, turn up the volume, rewind it, turn up the volume. So by the time we get to the last rewind and turn up the volume, we clearly hear the title of the episode. Are you scared yet? And as soon as she hears that, she throws the headset down, and she doesn't scream, but she freaks out a little bit because that wasn't there originally on the tape. Ending of episode 1. Now, I liked episode 1. I thought it was a great build-up. It introduced all the characters. It set up a lot of things from the first moment with the murder all the way up to the tape. It set everything up. It set up the murder, the supernatural element, the two characters, and we see the two mindsets and stability of these two people. You know, Dawn got a great loving support system, family and friends, more family than friends, but she's all there mentally, an adult, she's prepared for the world. Then we got Edmund over here who has no support system, lives on his own, kind of childish in his own little world, but is a decent human being. He's a decent guy. But it sets up these two characters for their basically climaxing in the ending of the show. So I liked episode 1. I thought it was really, really good. But why don't we go ahead and move on to episode 2, which is titled The Devil Himself Visits This Place. Now, I enjoyed this episode because of the scare scene itself and the fact that I felt played. We'll get there when we get there, but I felt so played. I was just like, damn, my expectations were just shut out the window, huh? Just shut the hell up out of this window. But this episode also tackles the big black versus blue moment. A big black versus blue moment. So, we then start off looking at the corpse of Ms. Mata. What's remaining of her, because they had to break her bones to put her back together again because she was just so disjointed. And we get told that, of course, she was alive during most of this, if not all of this. And the reason why she couldn't scream was because basically once a certain cord in her spine was broken, the connection between her brain and the rest of her body was severed. So she was still alive, and she could thought about screaming, but her lungs never got the message. Which also, on the side note, the practical dummy they had for Ms. Maud's body, beautiful. Very beautiful. It's disgusting, but beautiful. I loved it. Great practical effects, everybody. Now, McKinney is still harping on that he thinks this kid did it. He's just like, it had to be this 16-year-old. Like, nobody came in and out of this house. It had to be the 16-year-old. And the coroner's just like, you think a kid did this? You think a kid could... I've never seen anybody do this. No human can do this. Well, what can do this? Machinery. I think the autopsy dude actually said that he hadn't seen a body like this unless he got hit by a train. A train. You had to get hit by a train to be put in this kind of state. And she won't hit by no train now. Unless there was a train that I didn't see. No train did that. But unfortunately, McKinney's got a McKinney. But after that, of course, they go get lunch, and he is making fun of the fact that she's listening to the tape, and he's just like, listen, if you want to make it about race, we can make it about race. And she's like, what are you even going on about? Listen, I can't be racist. I dated a black girl, okay? So, you can throw that racism shit out the window. I'm not racist. Yeah, bro, because that makes everyone believe you're totally not a racist. 100%. Totally not racist. That's like saying, I'm not a racist because I have a black friend. My friend Quaid makes me a non-racist. Like, motherfucker, no it doesn't. I just have a black friend named Quaid. Which, by the way, I need to hit that motherfucker up tomorrow. Note to self when I rewatch this on YouTube to make sure this came out good. Note to self, future Amanda watching this. Hit Quaid up tomorrow. Long story short with that, TCM's dropping a big ass update, and we want to play the hell out of it because Maria's alive, and the hands is coming, and we got the skill tree reworked. Cannot wait. But I digress. The point is, he's a racist piece of shit. He's a racist piece of shit. But he tried to say he's not. But after that, we didn't cut to Kale, and this girl he kind of likes chit-chatting underneath the bleachers, and they're smoking, and she, of course, is just like, I hate cops. Cops are always up my brother's ass about this, about that. I can't stand cops. I mean, you should understand, right? And he's just like, yeah, totally understand about the cop thing, because he's put in an awkward situation. He really is. And like I said, this is an awkward situation also for Dawn. Because again, you got the black people pissed off at the cops because of the insensitive nature of the act of violence that they put on this man, and the fact that they're just racist pieces of shit. They are just horrible people. So yes, black people hated the cops. They had active reason to hate the police. They were protesting. They were getting angry. Their voices needed to be heard. And unfortunately, because of that, Kale, whose mom is a cop, but poor baby just, he just got to kind of sit there and be like, yeah, 100% agree, yeah, totally, cops fucking suck, man, all the cops fucking suck, when he knows for a fact that not all cops suck. His mom's a cop, and she's actually a good person. But because of that, you know, Kale, of course, is just like, he takes his weed and kind of runs, like, I'll talk to you later, man, you know, walks off. We then go to Dawn and McKinney. They hear about another call, and they think it might be connected to their case. So they go over there just to investigate, and no, it has to do with the south side, you know, from this point on, we're just going to call him the half-slinging slasher, okay? Because I cannot say Southside Strangler, man. Southside Slayer. I cannot say it, so we're calling him the half-slinging slasher, okay? The half-slinging slasher has struck again and he's killed someone, so no relation to her crime whatsoever. But because of this, there is a group of people standing out watching all this. She goes to talk to them, and before she can even walk up to them, this is, again, one of the, like I said, Kale's got to deal with his own awkwardness. This is her awkwardness. She walks up there before she can even say anything. You hear, pig, betrayer. Like, seriously, they call her a pig and a betrayer all in the same sentence. Because they literally look at this as betrayal. The fact that she's a black woman, she should be standing up for the black people of the community, not the cops. And unfortunately, she's put in that awkward situation where she can't really pick a side here because half the precinct don't like her to begin with. Because they do make a mention of the fact that she is what they call an affirmative hire. And for those of y'all who don't know what an affirmative hire is, it's basically a fucked up way to hire people, or a fucked up reason to hire people. Not because they're good at their job, not because they know what they're doing. No, it's because they're black. They're this. They're that, they're gay, they're trans, they're so on and so forth. Affirmative hires are basically people who are just hired to fit into a status quo, so they're not racist. They're not transphobic. They're not gayphobic. You know, they're not this shit or that shit. And it's stupid because you shouldn't hire someone based on the color of their skin. You should hire them based on their ability to do the job. That's also like saying you shouldn't hire someone just because they're a woman or because they're a man. Like, if they're good at the job, hire them. But no, we gotta have affirmative hire because no one wants to feel left out. Let's ask Disney how well that's working out. Disney? Unfortunately, Disney has no comments. Disney honestly has no comments about this shit. Still though, blame us saying it's our fault even though they're writing bad fucking characters and then saying, oh, well, we're the racist piece of shit. No, bro, you're not even writing good characters. You can make that person white. It still would be a shitty fucking movie. Okay? Like, sorry, not sorry. The damn messaging and propaganda is getting out of hand and out of control is all I'm going to say. But as she's being basically chastised for everything that is going on in the situation. Apparently it's all her fault. You know, everyone's just like, this is your fault. You're letting the strangler do this, blah, blah, blah. I didn't realize she had the whole crime syndicate on her shoulders here, and it was up to her to stop it. Like, apparently that's just her job. That's her job, just her job. You know, all these other cops, no. They got things to do. She is the one, though, that's supposed to stop this craziness. But during this craziness, she sees a guy standing in the back holding groceries, and he's smiling at her. Kind of creepily. Like, very creepily. He's very just like... So she goes to investigate, and suddenly, the closer she gets, you know, face no longer smiling. I think it was the demon or something. But the point is, she runs over there, and the guy looks at her, and I shit you not, goes, oh shit, it's him, looks at Dawn and says, you're all gonna die. First of all, I would like to say, never state that to a cop. Like, seriously, if a cop walks up to you, never start the conversation off with, ah, shit, we're all gonna die. Don't do that. Just don't. Second thing you don't do in that scenario is right after you say, you're all gonna die, you take off running. You don't do that. But that's exactly what this grown-ass man did. He dropped his groceries. Which, shame on him for dropping his groceries, because I get it, it's 1991, but the inflation has gone out of hands here, okay? Like, it costs money just to look at groceries on the television now, okay? So, you know what, shame on him for wasting groceries. But he takes off running, though, and of course she takes off running at him, and this is a very intense scene because of the fact that he is going through these apartment complexes, like going through people's apartment complexes, like their actual apartments. Like he's not just like walking outside or running outside. No, he's going through these people's rooms. And he's screaming, 5-0, you know, po-po, you know, he's letting everybody know the police are here, the police are here. And of course, Dawn's chasing him down, and the entire time, the people are trying to stop her. The people are trying, they're like up in her face, going, leave that boy alone, you know, you need to back the fuck up, get the hell up out of my house, all this shit. And it gets to the boiling point that at one point, she gets called something, I can't remember what was said, and she gets pushed. Like, this bitch, this fucking bitch. Ugly ass bitch too. Okay, she really wasn't ugly, but I'm gonna say that for the sake of the argument here. An ugly ass bitch pushes Dawn down the flight of stairs and then proceeds to get everybody else involved to throw shit at her. Glass bottles, aluminum cans, dirt from the pantry up above her. Like, people are just dogging on her, calling her names, calling her a betrayer, pig, of course, a bitch, this and that. And again, these are all black people. There's not a single white person here doing this shit. It's all the black folks of this apartment complex just gathering around her, screaming at her. But she prevails. She gets up, dizzy, but she gets up. She runs off after him, gets into the apartment, and sees that he has a baby. Now, I'm not gonna lie. The moment he had the baby, and I'm just like, wait a minute. He's got a baby. She's got a racist-ass partner. We got a riot going on outside. Oh my God, please protect the baby. Like, I started freaking out because, again, they killed a baby in the first season, okay? I wouldn't put it past them to do that in the second season. So I was panicking the entire time first watching this. I was like, oh my God, please put the baby down. Please put the baby down. Please go anywhere else but in this baby's room. And eventually, though, you know, Dawn comes in, sees this, try to calm him down. She sees that the room, the windows are covered, the mirrors are covered, the television's covered. She's seeing that something's not right here. Then McKinney comes in here, basically calling him a drug lord, that he's a cook, that he needs to give his stash away, and all this shit, and he needs to get up and tear this room apart. And McKinney basically beats him into turning over his room. And Dawn, of course, she's got the baby, and she's trying to stop McKinney. She's like, McKinney, stop it. Okay, McKinney, there's nothing here. McKinney, stop. You know, she's trying. And McKinney just keeps laying in on this man. And eventually another cop comes in, right? Another cop comes in. It's like, McKinney, stop. And of course, McKinney finally fucking listens. and he stops being the man, tells the man he's got nothing to hide, that is wasting his time, and walks the hell off. And then Don gives the baby back to the man and leaves. Now, at first, I was appalled. I truly was. I was disgusted by McKinney's accent because McKinney's a piece of shit. And I hated that this innocent man was being wrongly accused of being a cook because he's a black man in a shitty fucking neighborhood. And I was just like, damn, McKinney, your racism is shining real fucking hard here, man. Like, Jesus Christ. Unfortunately, we find out later on this episode that that's not the case, and the man is actually a piece of shit to begin with. I have my own beats with shit like that, but we'll get there when we get there. So after that, we then cut to Edmund. Now, Edmund's being fucking weird. And I mean that with in any possible way you can think of. Like, it's fucking weird. He's got a plastic bag over his head, and he's basically trying to smother himself. Just, and you know what's funny? You know what's actually funny, though, about this scene? Is that the entire time he's damn it, I can't speak. I'm having that stroke. He's trying to y'all know what I'm trying to say. Fuck it, I'm not even going to try to say the word. I'm not even going to try to say it, but we all know what word I'm trying to talk about. It's the fancy terminology for taking one's life away by smothering to death with a plastic bag. Okay? Watch me say it later tonight when I go to lay down to go to sleep. I'm going to be like, that's how you fucking say the word. At this point, it's not even going to matter. The point is, he's got this plastic bag over his head trying to kill himself. And he's on the phone. The phone's got him on hold. And the song is Take My Breath Away. I'm like, I don't know if that was just a creative choice or that was an accident. But the point is, it was funny. I thought it was funny. The fact that he's got this bag over his head and he's trying to kill himself. And you just hear, da 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 da. And it's not even the actual lyrics either. It's like the classic on hold, high pitch, just non-lyrical version of that song. I'm just like, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful. But he comes out of it when someone picks up the phone, and he's just like, oh my god, yes, I'm here. Do you have the information I'm looking for? And they're like, well, sir, we don't seem to be finding your request form that you put in. And he has this notebook with all this information written on it, and apparently whatever he's trying to find, which we all know what he's looking for, and we'll dive more in that episode, but if not, hang on, let me phrase that. If you don't know what he's looking for, you find out coming a couple episodes. If you do, you do. But we know what he's looking for. And he's been looking for a long time. Like, apparently, it's been a couple of months. I was looking at the dates on the notebook, and it's been a couple of months. It's been about 3 months. But apparently, they said that he lost his papers, or blah, blah, blah. And he's like, no, just check again. And, of course, the woman's just like, all right, sir, hang on a second. She looks and finds it, and it's just like, okay, well, we got it here. We'll go ahead and put it through. It might take a couple of weeks, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, well, is there any way you can, make that go a little faster? And she's like, have a nice day, sir, and then hangs the fuck up on him. Like, bitch, I'm sorry that you had to, get off your fat, lazy ass to do your job, God forbid you did your job. I'm just saying, her attitude was unnecessary. We then cut to Kel coming home, and we see a little bit more of his OCD, where he's going up the stairs and he's counting the stairs. He gets inside of his room, he flips the light switch on, we see how he puts his bag, and he smokes. And does the stuff, his pretty usual setup. We then cut back to Edmund as he gets a phone call from Rhonda. And Rhonda informs him that she found a script that she thinks he would absolutely love. It's not Gangster number 1 or number 2. It's not Pimp number 2. No, it's a fun killer role. She's like, he's not listed as a particular type of looking character. You know, we just know he's a man at this age. We don't know what he looks like. And it'd be kind of cool to have a brother be a killer for once. That'd be kind of cool. And Edmund's all down for it. But, you know, at first he's a little like, I don't know, you know, that might be a little too intense for me. And she's like, oh, I think you could do it. So, you know, that gives him the confidence, like, yeah, I can do this. Send me the script. So after that, we cut to Athena, who thinks she hears Dawn come home, but it's actually her fan turning on in her study. So Athena goes to, you know, investigate the noise she heard, and she sees the picture of Maud's body on the floor because the fan apparently turned on and knocked this picture down. Athena looks at it, and she is shooketh. And at first, you know, you think, okay, is it because of the displacement of this body? You find out in episode 4... Actually, no, episode 4 you find out the truth of Athena and Dawn's relationship. I think it's episode 5 you find out she was at Mott's house at one point. The point is, she sees the picture and she is shooketh. And that gives a little foreshadowing of something. Athena's got a secret. That we don't know about, but that is our first clue that there's something going on here. We then go to Dawn, and she's on a date with that weird guy. Not weird guy, but the guy who's flirting with her, that she threatened to handcuff and all that shit. The point of this scene is you see that they're trying to have a normal, casual relationship. And they're not much for casual relationships, you know, talking about their days and shit. And long story short, they end up just fucking in the pool. That's it. Simple as that. They end up just fucking in the pool. That's the whole scene. Don't get me wrong. It's a nice scene because it's passionate and it's lovely. The music is great. The lighting is awesome. The cinematography. The dialogue is kind of funny because, you know. Okay, first of all. The fact that she told him that he couldn't stop, that was just funny. Second of all, I would like to add a little deterrent here. Just real quick, so deterrent. I know movies and TV shows make sex in the shower look cool, or, you know, sex in the pool seem like fun, you know, even sex on the creek. You know, I mean, a lot of shows are like, yes, this is great. I'm going to be the first to tell you, no. Just no. Just no. There is no world, this world I've been in, where sex with water is fun. It generally is dangerous. First of all, especially in the shower. She'll have those little rubber grips on your shower floor. It's gonna be a day. Second, have you ever tried to have intercourse in a shower? In the bathtub? It's not easy. It's a lot of playing around with your angles. I'm not gonna lie, a lot of playing around with your angles. Third of all, when you're in the pool, water does not make it water doesn't make it go down easy, okay? Like, it actually makes it harder for you to get the enjoyment out of it, and it's almost like trying to put your raw penis upside a dry, raw hole, and it doesn't feel good, okay? Like, I'm gonna be honest, it don't feel good. Water does not make this shit feel good. Water makes this shit actually hurt a little bit more. Granted, though, you know, it does help when you're in the mood and shit, but even still, the water kind of cleanses that off to a degree, so it makes it a little bit more challenging. The point is, sex in water is not as fun and creative as the movies make it out to be, okay? Like, just stop. That's the most unrealistic thing. I've never in my life have ever seen a movie where they've had sex and not enjoyed it in the water. Like, can we have a realistic sex scene in water where they look displeased by the whole situation? Just, is that it? Yeah. Yeah, that didn't feel good. I know, but we did it, you know. And I mean, I'm talking about like they're like waist boob deep in this water too. So you know, I get it. It's the floatingness. You like the fact that you can like pick her up and bounce her up and down all you freaking want. Still doesn't make it feel any better, man. Just makes things easier. Just makes things easier. But I digress. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to go on a tangent about how the movies lie about sex scenes. Okay. So, we then cut back to the man that disappointed me. So, remember, like I said, I originally felt sorry for the fact that this man was wrongly, not convicted, because he wasn't like put to trial or anything, but wrongly judged for being a cook. We get to this scene, and no lie, the dude is a cook. He is cooking meth with his son's bottle in the next pot. Literally, at the same time he's cooking meth, he is cooking his baby's bottle. And I'm just like, bro, you are a piece of work. You are a piece of work. You are honestly a piece of work, because it gets me thinking more about this character, because you find out, guess where his stash was at? Underneath his baby's bed. Let that sink in. This piece of shit, and I'm gonna say it as is. Like, I'm sorry about the injustice he had earlier with the cops, but I'm sorry, you're a piece of shit if you're a cook and you're doing that shit around your child. Granted, if you're a cook, you're a piece of shit to begin with, because you shouldn't be cooking drugs. Because first of all, when you cook drugs, you're putting your health and safety at risk. Second of all, you're making drugs. Third of all, the fact that this motherfucker is doing this with no regard to his child's safety is mind-blowing. Because this is the same man who ran into the house and picked up his baby. Which means this motherfucker was not, oh my god, I must protect my baby because I'm being chased by these cops. No, he was using the baby. That's how I felt after finding out the man's an actual cook. It pissed me off, because all I could think of is he used his baby as a fucking human shield, thinking, okay, I got a baby, they're not gonna shoot me. And I'm just like, granted, I could be like misconstruing the whole thing about the baby incident just because I don't like the fact that he's a cook. But I don't know, it just gets me heated. It gets me heated because of the fact that you have a baby and you do not give a flying fuck about the well-being of your baby. But I get it, you know, drugs make money. Drugs make money. It's so much easier to make drugs than it is to get an actual fucking job. Oh, but I'm a single dad. Oh, so you live in this entire neighborhood with no one you could fucking trust to watch your kid? Why don't you move in with somebody? Why don't you, I don't know, hire a nanny? I'm sure with all the drug money you got, you should be able to hire a nanny. But you know what? I digress, though. I digress. I'm going to get off on another little tangent. Point is, we see homie cooking. And as he's cooking, suddenly he gets startled, and I get startled, because you hear, boom, 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 it's the police, open up! And he goes, oh, shit! And starts dropping all his shit, breaking the bottles, tries to flush all his drugs, you know, grabs his baby from the high chair that's in the kitchen next to him while he's cooking, and, you know, takes it into the bedroom, puts the baby down, does all this shit, you know, he's panicking like a son of a bitch. And here's the door bust open, and he gets down on the knees with his hands up behind his head. He's in the position of, I'm about to get fucked up. So he's in the position so he doesn't get fucked up. And he waits, and he waits, and he waits some more, and he realizes nobody's coming around that corner. So he gets up and he goes to investigate and sees that there's nobody here. Nobody busts down his door. The police aren't there. But what the fuck did you just hear? He then hears something in the baby's room. So he goes to investigate. And the moment he gets to the baby's room, the camera doesn't follow him all the way through. The camera kind of slow zooms into the hallway as we see him go into the dark room, and then we hear him scream, "No! Ah!" And then the crackling of the bones. Just, and he dead. We then cut to that next morning. I guess Dawn is interviewing the mother. And she says the title of the episode, that the devil himself came to visit this place, and that this is not normal, and this is not natural what happened, and that it's not okay, and how could this happen to her sweet, innocent boy? And I'm just over here like, okay, either you are completely unaware of the fact that your son's a fucking cook, or you're completely oblivious to the fact that your son was putting the life of your grandbaby in danger by being a cook. Either way, I don't like you. Like, I know that sounds extremely harsh, but I cannot stand parents that try to debate, say, oh, my child was innocent, my child was good, and blah, blah, blah. Even though we all know your child's a piece of shit. We all know it, but I get it, you're grieving, he died, you're upset, we understand that. But come the hell on, parents have got to realize that your child is not as innocent as you say, and it even pisses me off more when they're aware of their child doing criminal shit, and yet they still try to play victim and go, no, he was just doing what he had to do. Sure he did. Sure he did. Sure he did. And everybody else had to do what they had to do, It's like, don't break into somebody's house. Or don't do drugs. Or don't, basically don't be a piece of shit knowing that you're a piece of shit and then act surprised when something bad happens to you. Like, seriously, you can't act surprised. And your family can't act surprised either. Just, I didn't see this coming. Seriously? You knew he was a drug addict for 12 years. And you didn't see this shit coming. But I digress. The point is, mom's upset, blames the cops because they're like, oh, you were there before, it's your fault, you scared him, why aren't y'all doing y'all's job, blah, blah, blah. Of course, blame the cops for everything, not the fact that, he ran from the police when being questioned, or the fact that he threatened the police when he was being questioned, or the fact that, he's a cook. I'm just saying, like, oh my God, like, I'm just saying, the piece of shit person, he's a piece of shit person. I don't give a shit if he was doing it for his kid. I'm doing this money so my kids can have milk and diapers and shit. Be a prostitute. Be a man whore. Fuck your body up before you fuck your kid's body up. Like, seriously, you're that desperate for money. Do that. Just be a prostitute, man. I'm sure if there were a prostitute, if in the TV show Slasher, they can have drag queens be prostitutes. They can have men be prostitutes in the 19th century, whatever location that show was put on, because they didn't specify where it was located at. The point is, you as a straight man, I'm sure you're straight. I don't know, actually. You know what? Scratch that last part. I'm sure as a man, you could take it up the ass for your kid. Okay, if you're that desperate for money, you will take it up the ass for your kid. All right, I know, if I was put in that situation, yeah, I would. If I had a choice, sell drugs to support my kid or be a whore, I would choose to be a whore. Like, straight up, I would choose to be the whore. Would I feel good about life? No, not really. Will I feel disgusting and dirty? Oh, hell to hell, yes. But you know what? That's my body to destroy, not my child's. Point is, I don't really feel bad for the man. I don't. And the mom shouldn't either. And the mom shouldn't give a surprise Pikachu face, but she is. She is, and she blames everybody else but her idiot son. Granted, it's not necessarily his fault that he died. Like, he was targeted. He was targeted by the scare. But he was targeted by the scare because of the type of person he was. If he wasn't that type of person, the scare wouldn't have bothered him. So maybe it is his fault. Okay, I take it back. It is his fault. Maybe if he wasn't a piece of shit, the scare wouldn't have bothered him. Anyway, you find out another little fun fucking thing about this scene is not only did the scare kill the man and stuffed his body in the little crawl space where he was hiding the drugs underneath his baby's bed. Oh no, the scare made the baby watch. And how do we know this? Because they brought up a moment. They were just like, why is there duct tape on the baby crib? Because he made him watch. They straight up say they made him watch. And I thought that was fucked up. I'm like, this poor child has been through so much already. And it's not even an actual child. It's a toddler, a baby that needs bottles and be held. It doesn't even babble actual words. And this child is now fucking scarred for life. Congratulations, Scary. You have taught a valuable lesson to this kid. Don't be a piece of shit. And you won't have to sit here and watch your father die. Ugh. Like, straight up, oh my god, I can't believe they wrote that in. But anyway. Dawn is now talking to everybody about the killer, the lieutenant and everybody. She's like, they're obviously connected. It's got to be a serial killer. And the lieutenant, he doesn't want to use the word serial killer because they already got the hash-slinging slasher dude hanging around. They don't need another one. And on top of that, like I said, they got the whole Rodney King incident. So the police department is stretched pretty thin with Eternal Affairs. I think what they're called. With Eternal Affairs going on. With the Rodney King incident, with the weird people being killed, people being killed in weird ways. We got this hash-slinging slasher dude. We don't have room or the manpower to worry about a serial killer, even though she thinks if they say serial killer, the FBI should get involved. But McKinney, of course, is saying it's all connected to the kid. He's probably a drug user. The guy was a cook. He took some drugs. Got his friends, beat the shit out of Maud. It's not a serial killer. Case closed, man. Case closed. And of course, Dawn ain't having it. Dawn is not having it. But unfortunately, there's nothing she can do about this. There's nothing she can do. She's got to swallow her pride and leave the room. So once we do that, we cut to Kel watching the news, and of course he's watching the Rodney King incident with, of course, the VHS tape that's been going around. We get to watch the full brutality of everything. And Dawn walks up to him, and there's like an awkward moment of staring at each other, just like, do you want to talk about this? And he does. He's like, yes, I want to talk about this. So she explains that it's hard. Like, this whole situation is hard. She's been put in the position because she is a black cop. She's been put in this position. It's not fair. It's not right. What's happening here is fucked up. But not every cop is like this. Not everybody is going to be like this. This is just a bad situation, which is true. Not every cop is a racist piece of shit. Again, there's a Diaz. Let's cut the main characters out here for being non-racist. Detective Diaz. He is a wonderful cop, beyond compassionate, caring, and I can be honest 100%. He is not a racist at all. He is 100% not a racist. He's a really well-written character and very nice. I liked him. I wish I would have got the actor's name. But the point is, she knows this is fucked up. So he asked her, why did you become a cop then? And I like her answer. Her answer is just like, I thought maybe if I'm the one holding the badge, if I'm the one holding the stick, I can change things. I could fix this. It doesn't have to be like this. And that's an honorable reason to be a cop. It really is. As stupid as that sounds, it's an honorable reason to be a cop, to see the injustice going on inside the police precinct itself. So you rather become a cop and put yourself in the line of fire to change the status quo, to break the wheel and change the wheel. And that's commendable. Very commendable. But after that, Dawn ends up making a phone call to a local newspaper. She makes a phone call to a news reporter, informing them about the killings and about how the cops really don't have the manpower to stress this out, but she just wants people to be aware that there is a killer out there. I hate, but I love this. I hate it because she is right. It needs to be put out there. People need to be aware that there is a killer out there targeting people. Okay? But I don't think you need to go to the press, because we all know how the press is. The press lies. The press likes to twist words. And what do you know? In the next scene, we find out the press twisted her words. Congratulations for being a fool. You just played yourself, Dawn. You just played yourself. But, again, we'll get there when we get there. But the next scene is Edmund doing research into being a killer. And I commend him for being this type of actor. He's a method actor. And I know plenty of actors who do this. Hell, I've done this. Especially when I do plays in college. Like, there was one where I watched Wait Until Dark. I watched that play. I actually watched the movie that it was based off of. Just be prepared for the role. Even though I don't think my character was in the movie. Because I played, I think her name was Gloria, the little girl. Yes. Because of my small statures and size in college, I played a little girl in the play. And I mean a little girl. I don't mean I was a teenager. No, I think I was playing, she was like 10 or 11. And she had a doll. And I was just, I was adorable. I'm not going to lie. I was adorable. But he's doing research, and he's watching the Jason Voorhees interview from when Jason Takes Manhattan came out. I forget the name of the guy he was doing the interview with, but I fucking love that talk show. But you see, he's got all the classic horror movies, and he's got like Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, Jason Voorhees, all this shit. So he's learning. He's learning. And as oh, hang on a second, I lost my place. And as we see the camera cutting through him studying to be, the serial killer, he starts going through his wardrobe, trying to find an outfit for this serial killer. So we had this fun little costume montage of him, being the Hulk Hogan, Bill Cosby, shit like that. It's kind of fun. It's very fun. And then he pulls out this weird bondage mask that's a little creepy. I thought that would have been a good choice, but I guess I see why he didn't pick that one. And then after that, he winds up picking this interesting combination for a mask. So he goes to the bathroom, he paints his eyeballs black, and then he paints his lips red. He puts a stocking over his face, and then kind of like chews and bites into the fucking stocking, and I guess trying to smear his makeup and shit, trying to get the look. And eventually, he finds the look he's looking for, and then he screams at himself in the mirror. Because the man is so mentally well stable, huh? And what I find also funny about this whole montage is that we have that song Walk This Way playing. And for those of y'all who don't know, it was in the movie Lost Boys. Love that song, though. But we then cut to Dawn's house where Kale fell asleep watching... he fell asleep and he gets awakened by the TV playing. So he goes downstairs to investigate, and he sees his mom laying on the sofa, smiling that creepy smile we've seen a couple of times, the reflection of the mirror, not the mirror, of the window back in the first episode. We got the whole creepy smile we saw when she was chasing after the guy. We see it here. And Kale just goes, "Mom, what are you doing?" And flips on the lights, and Mom's gone. And he sees on the TV, it's the Rodney King beating again. and he goes to turn it off, and he can't quite seem to get it to cooperate with the remote, so he goes over there and unplugs it. The moment he unplugs it, he sees somebody standing in the reflection of the TV, so he turns around, and there's nobody. So he turns back around, and he sees his face. And his face is not normal. His face is swollen and bruised and disformed. Like, it looks like someone beat the shit out of his face. And he starts kind of freaking out a little bit, you know? Just, how else are you supposed to react to that? You know that's not your face, but you see it in the mirror, in the reflection. This is why you see in that cook's house, he had shit over the mirrors, shit over the TV. Anything that gives off reflection was covered. We even see that he freaked out at the time before McKinney started beating the shit out of him. When McKinney started undoing the window the coverings and shit, and he started freaking out. That's what started the beating. But I digress. We then cut to Edmund at work, and he is slowly zoning the fuck out as he's sitting there in the locker room. He looks up, and he sees the knife in the kitchen. We just see the door open and close, open and close. And we see a slow zoom into the knife, a slow zoom into Edmund's face, and we cut to Edmund in his little costume. And as he's walking around, you hear everyone go, "Oh my God, it's Teddy the pig! What the hell?" And you see, people grabbing their kids, and they're like, "Oh my God, sweetie, stay away from him." You're like, what the hell's going on? His boss then walks up to him and is like, "Edmund, what the hell are you doing?" And we cut to Edmund standing there. He's holding the knife. He's got the knife in his hand, and he's just like, "Wait, I'm sorry." And he starts like taking off his headpiece, and of course the manager's like, I don't give a shit, man. I'm calling the police. You're fired. Oh my God. Like, he's freaking the hell out for no reason, by the way. I feel like everybody was kind of overreacting just a little bit by a man walking around with a knife. Like, it's not like he was swinging it around. I mean, what if he had, what if he found it on the floor and he was taking it to the manager? Did anyone ever thought about that? That maybe this knife was left out and about and he was just doing the right thing? No, we automatically assume he's going to go stab somebody, so we start freaking out. But Edmund probably would have maybe stabbed somebody because of the next moment. After the manager runs off and he's left there stunned, watching everyone stare at him in shock and horror, he smiles. He just smiles. And that's how the episode ends, with him holding the knife, smiling. Now we get to see the foundation cracking. Now with episode 2, I like this one because of, first, the expectations. Of course, I originally was going off the fact that, okay, this guy's being wrongfully stereotyped as a cook, and in actual reality, he was a cook, so McKinney was just on point here. Fuck McKinney for being on point. But you see that the scare, how do I put this? The scare is targeting people for a particular reason. We don't find out till later on what these particular reasons are, but there are reasons. And this, again, continues to set up more of the connection. Why is this person being chosen? What is the full connection? McKinney's over here going, it's clearly the kid. We know it's not the kid, McKinney. Shut up with the whole kid thing. Stop trying to blame a kid for something that not even a human being of your stature could do, okay? Shut the fuck up. But this episode shows us the crumbling foundation of not only the shit Dawn's got to deal with the whole, being a black cop, but we see the foundation of Edmund's mental stability kind of cracking a little bit here. So this is kind of like a good build-up where in the first episode we kind of met them and got a full good balance of who they are as individuals, of being, good support, no support. And this one, we get to see kind of the bad side of their personalities. And I don't mean like in a bad, vicious way. I mean just the cracks in the foundation where things aren't perfect. Things are not great. But these are the things we see as the audience, but the characters that are around them don't get to see. So now let's move on to episode 3, and this one's entitled The Man with the Red Hair. Now, Dawn's heading to work on this particular day, and as she pulls up to her parking spot, it's being blocked off by some dude. So, politely, she asks him to move out the way. She's like, hey, excuse me, you're blocking my spot. Could you pull up? He calls her a black bitch. I'm going to be honest, I was kind of pissed. Because that came out of nowhere. I was just like, you know, dude, just move. Just fucking move. Just fucking move, you asshole. Like, you're blocking her spot. Reserve parking for a reason, asshole. Reserve parking for a reason. I'm sorry you're a boot. And you lost your job or something. You probably got demoted to being nothing more than a fucking front desk worker. But that's not her fault, and that's not her problem, okay? Quit being a racist piece of shit and get the fuck out of her way. But no, he calls her a black bitch. And of course she gets out, and she's like, excuse me, I said get out of my spot and move. And he says something else underneath his breath, and he takes the fuck off. And of course, she's not in a good mood because of that. And then she reads in the paper that the media twisted her fucking words. So the moment she gets in there, she is already being tormented. She's already being tormented by her fellow fucking officers. She gets in there. She opens up her folder, though, as she sits down, and she sees doctored photos of her as the body. Yeah, I thought that was beyond fucked up. Like, I don't give a shit who you are, what you look like. If you are literally telling your fellow officer who has done nothing wrong except try to stop a fucking serial killer that they should wind up dead, you don't need to be a cop. None of these motherfuckers need to be cops. They all need to be fired, to be frank, but that's just me. But she sees these doctor photos, she gets mad, she slams them on the board. Before she could say something, and she's eyeballing everybody, the lieutenant calls her in and starts chewing her ass out because he knows she's the one who fucking told the newspapers. And he's like, now I got this shit up my ass. You're going to have to fix this. This is what's going on. This is what's going to happen. You're not being pulled off the case. McKinney's being pulled off the case because when this ship goes down, it's going to be your ass, okay? It's going to be your ass, not McKinney's. And she's like, fair enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. But she knows she needs to work with somebody else, so she starts thinking of a new partner she can play with. And I mean that in a positive way too. I don't mean like mentally fuck over play with. I mean like in a good cop, bad cop thing, you know, like they're actually on point together as partners. I don't like whatever the fuck McKinney is to her. We then got to Athena at work, and she's having, a bit of a moment, a little struggle with her hands, because we think, okay, arthritis, and actual reality is something else. It's just a constant reminder of the thing haunting her. But as she is having a moment, she opens up a box and sees Raggedy Andy. And as she's looking at Raggedy Andy, she slowly kind of zones out. Like, this is really, really bothering her. We don't know necessarily why in this particular episode, why this is bothering her. But it got to the point that she was about to cut off her hand with a fucking paper guillotine. Is that it? Guillotine? The little paper shredded things. If you play Five Nights at Freddy's VR, that's the thing the dude used to cut his face off. That thing, yeah, paper guillotine or whatever, yeah. She was about to use one of those on her hand. Luckily, she stopped herself, and, she gotta be careful. She's zoning out and shit. She gotta stop zoning out. Like, straight up, like that poor Athena. But she winds up tossing the Raggedy Andy dolls because she don't want to deal with it. So then we cut to the Dawn, who is going to go talk to Detective Diaz to see if he wants to work the case with her, and of course he agrees. He loves her. Like, I mean, I don't mean like in love with her. Like, he loves her work. He thinks she's a good cop. He respects and admires her. It's somebody I can get behind. Diaz is definitely a cop I can fucking get behind. I like him. I really do. Oh, excuse moi. But he agrees to be her partner. So they start trying to go over the evidence. And they're, slowly piecing things together that it had to be somebody who can get in and out of the house quickly, unnoticed. So who could have done this? Well, we know it wasn't the kids. We know it wasn't this. We know it wasn't that. So could it be somebody of a certain job? Could it be a cop? I mean, hell, I would open the door up at 3 a.m. to a cop. So they start basically not pointing fingers, but they start saying McKinney. What about McKinney? What about McKinney? That's what I want to know. What about McKinney? Because they want to know the connection, though. They do want to know the connection of these two people. So she asks Diaz to basically check to see if there's any connection between Mott's house, anybody who might have went through Mott's house, and this cook. Like, maybe there's some kind of weird connection there. But we'll keep that on the table about the cops, okay? We then cut to Edmund, who's getting ready for a date. It's with Rhonda. Rhonda's coming over, and they want to chit-chat, and everything's actually going pretty good. Everything's going good, except the fact that he lied to her. He's just like, I quit my job today. I took your advice, and I quit my job. No, he didn't. He got fired for being crazy, but he doesn't want to let her know that, so he's trying to be all positive and shit, and She's like, well, I'm glad you're doing good. That's what you need. You need to be focused. You don't need to worry about being down and trout with a job that you don't like. I'm sure you're going to find a role. You have more guts than I do. I tried acting, but I couldn't pull it off. But, it is kind of hard being an actor and a single mom. But I like my job. I like how everybody is. Everyone's cool. And we go for drinks at night. Oh, do you now? Edmund asks out of curiosity, and unfortunately this kind of triggers him because she brings up Donovan. Now, who's Donovan? The camera guy who was laughing at him in the first episode. Of course, that kind of triggers him a little bit because she's like, oh, Donovan, he's so nice and sweet. He knows how to make me laugh. You mean the man who hangs out with a bunch of girls? And I bet you he's not even gay. I bet you he wants to sleep with one of y'all or all of y'all. But again, that's just me. But because of that, it kind of triggers him a little bit. So he's like, I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Goes to the bathroom. And he comes back all dressed up to the nine wearing his serial killer outfit. And of course, at first she's like, oh, that's cool. That's great. Now take it off. Okay, now you're starting to freak me out. Take it off. And he starts getting closer, and he starts, I guess, quoting the script. I think he's that much of a method actor. He started quoting the script and freaked her the fuck out. Because he brought out a knife. He brought out a knife and put it to her throat and was threatening to kill her and all this shit. And she's about to cry and basically pass out in his arms because she's so fearful. He takes off the mask and starts laughing. But I don't mean like ha-ha in your face. Like, oh my God, that was so great. Like, your improv skills were amazing. Like, oh my God, that was fantastic. Did I do it? Did I do it right? He's asking for confirmation here that what he did was just fucking awesome. And she's like, yeah, that's great, man. I gotta go now. And she runs the fuck out of there. She ran up out of there. And I don't blame her. I really don't. We then go to Don, who gets a call from somebody, and he's like, I got information. There's been another murder. Come to this location so we could talk. So she goes to meet him. Turns out it's a teenage boy named Victor. And they're meeting in his parents' shop. They live right above. And he's asking her just, hey, you're not going to hassle my family, are you? You know, you're not going to be mean and shit. And she's like, what are you talking about? He's like, my sisters were murdered and the cops harassed my father. They've been in this country legally for 20 some odd years and they harassed him and beat him. And the cops did nothing but just destroy what was left of my family, and now they're not even helping. And of course, because of all this commotion, the parents hear this shit. Now they get into an argument, and Don tries to relate to them and to the kid, I'm here to help. I truly am here to help. I'm not judging. I'm not going to pass any kind of hatred towards you guys. I am here to help. So eventually they crumble, and they agree. They'll let her come into the house so they can investigate. So they go into the room. They realize the room hasn't been touched since the night of the girls' deaths. And you find out that they are twins. And they too were acting a little weird before their deaths. They were afraid to go to sleep. They were afraid to go anywhere alone. They were irresceptible. Not like the typical twins they were beforehand, but they were just like, they couldn't go to the bathroom without each other. And they had all the mirrors covered up. They had all the TVs covered up. Like, they were being a little weird. And you find out they were recording some stuff. And eventually they find the tapes. So Victor and Dawn sit down to watch the tapes. And you see, at first it's all normal. You know, them dancing, being normal teenagers. You know, everything was fine. And then the next clip they see is the girls freaking out. Okay, let me phrase that. At first, it's them acting weird. You know, staring into the mirror, not saying a word to each other. And then the next scene is the girls freaking out because they think they see somebody standing at the window. So they got the camera pointing at the window, and we don't see anybody. But they keep saying the title of the episode, do you see him? Do you see him? The man with the red hair. The man with the red hair. He's here. He's here. But yet, we don't see anybody. And of course, you know, Victor, he don't know how to handle this shit either. And unfortunately, right after that incident, you find out that they died. Just like the other two, twisted, mangled, and they were put inside one of their family's glass display cases in the middle of the store. But they were twisted together. Poetic, kind of creepy, but poetic because they're twins. We then cut back to Edmund, who is watching the Charlie Manson interview, and he is really into this role now. He's getting to the point that he's no longer watching fictional serial killers to get this role. He's now watching real serial killers. And he's quoting Charlie Manson's kind of interview, some of his lines and shit. And the entire time he's watching this interview, he's cutting his leg with a knife accidentally at first. And then once he notices that, he starts actually doing it. And you can see a tear come down his eye. And it's mainly probably because it's painful. But he's not scared of it and he's not stopping it because he kind of enjoys it, it seems like. It's bizarre. It's beyond bizarre. How bizarre. Ba-da-da-da. Dun, dun, dun. How bizarre. How bizarre. Point is, it's bizarre. We then cut to Cal, who's got the girl over, and of course he's uncomfortable, he's full of anxiety, but he has a little bit of a conversation with her about how he feels like something bad is going to happen. And there's nothing he can do to stop it, he just knows something's coming. So he gets the sense that some shit's happening, and we're kind of seeing in real time what ends up happening to the victims of the people that get tormented. You know, maybe they get this sense of foreboding warning that something bad's coming, and then that's when the scare itself starts appearing, and then they die a week later. Kind of like the Ring phone call. You know, instead of watching the tape and you get a phone call saying you're going to die in 7 days, you see the man in the red hair, and you just die in 7 days. So Dawn and the new partner, of course, they're still trying to piece everything together, watch the videotape, and they talk about the man with the red hair. And that's when they make the connection to McKinney. They go, McKinney's a cop. He has red hair. He could be our suspect. He has motive to do this. But what would be the actual motive, though? Like, yes, this woman and this man, maybe, but what about these girls? It's a far stretch, but it's an idea. Dawn is now at night. Dawn at night is watching the tape at work. And McKinney comes in, and he's like, what are we watching? We're not watching anything. I'm watching something. What are you doing here? Well, I was drinking, and I didn't want the night to end, so I figured I could come over here and see what's going on here. Now, this moment, I will say, this is where he had me in the first half. This is where I thought, okay, maybe I misread McKinney. Maybe McKinney is really not a piece of shit. Maybe he isn't racist, and it's just becoming off like he's racist because he's awkward about it, because he's just, he doesn't know how to really talk about this to them, especially since it's like, black versus blue scenario going on, and he's put in a predicament that he's now dealing with a black cop, so he doesn't know how she feels, so it could just be awkward for him. That's what I thought originally, especially when he's just like, listen, can we hit the reset button on our relationship? I'm sorry, about things, I didn't mean it, all this shit. He's actually apologized, and I'm just like, okay, not a bad guy, you're decent, you're a decent dude, we like you, until he put his foot in his fucking mouth, and he was, after he apologized, and Don kind of looks at him confused, he's just like, you could say thank you. You could stop being a fucking cunt. And I was just like, homie, you did not just say that. I do believe he did call her the see you next Tuesday. And I'm just like, homie, why? You had me going the first half that you were a decent human being. Why all of a sudden you just like a fucking asshole? No, you're a fucking asshole. You're trying to say fates. Fuck you. Go to hell, McKinney. We don't like you. I cannot wait to watch you die. Spoiler alert to everybody. He fucking dies. And I loved it. He deserved it. Fuck that guy. Fuck McKinney. Don't worry, we'll get more about that come the next podcast, because unfortunately we're stuck with him for at least another few episodes. I hate McKinney though. But during this whole conversation, he ends up calling her the affirmative reaction and AAH, which is something she's aware that they call her. Even though Lieutenant tries to deny it, because that was part of one of their conversations, that people don't look at her that way. She's like, oh, no, they do. They may not say it to your face, but they say it to mine. And then he basically kind of not threatens her kid, but it's just like, how's your son doing? How's he doing? Tell me, is everything all right with him? Tell him I said, hey, just kind of be creepy about it. Being fucking creepy as ever about this whole situation. And I'm just like, Jesus Christ, man. McKinney, like, do you have to be such a fucking prick? Like, really, do you have to be such a fucking prick? Like, I did not get why he even did that. I guess I'm assuming from the way he said certain things, the way he was doing it, he was hoping to get laid by Dawn. And then when Dawn kind of flat out rejected his ass because she doesn't even like him, that's when he just went cold again. He got drunk, he got horny, he thought maybe it'd be an easy score if he could, oh, I'm not really racist, can we start over? I'm a really nice guy. No, fuck you, man. I mean, I don't know, because he also has a wife, but he could be a cheater. I don't know. The point is, I don't like McKinney. And I'll say it once, I'll say it again. I don't like the motherfucker. Calls her crazy, though. Calls her crazy and then leaves. And of course, she has a little bit of a heart problem, so she goes to the ER to, figure out what's going on in my heart. These last couple of times, every time anxiety hits me, my heart starts acting up. And of course, she thinks it has to do with her father, because her father died of a heart attack, so she thinks it might be family related. And, doctors think so too, so they give her a bit of a pill to help out, just in case. No big deal, not a drug, it's not meth, it's not like an amphetamine or anything like that, so she's not a classic detective, not yet. Not yet. She's kind of there because she's busy in her work and she's getting divorced. But she's a caring mom and she's not on drugs or an alcoholic. So she's doing pretty good. But then we see Cal, and he is getting down, I guess, with band practice, and he sees his dad in the stands. Now, I like this scene. I like this scene because I didn't really have any kind of judgment against the dad, because we're not really told too much about the divorce. You know, we just know that they were young, and the divorce, and she's not happy with him. But he cares. He cares about Dawn, and he cares about his son. Turns out he's a singer. He's a rapper. I'm assuming he's a rapper. I could be wrong, but the point is he's a musician. He's on a road, and he took literally time out of his day on the road to come see his son. Just to come see his son. He's a loving father. That's a caring father. And I love that. And the expectation, because I was assuming from the way Don was reacting that he was a piece of shit. I honestly was. I thought he was going to be a piece of shit. You know, I wasn't saying like a drug head or something. But I thought he would be like an abusive asshole or some bullshit like that. No, he's just a nice guy. He is generally a nice guy, and Dawn's just a paranoid bitch. Pardon my French on that, but it's true. She's just paranoid. But it's a loving moment. It's a very loving moment, very chill moment, and it shows you that support. They have support. Kale's got a support system. So as Kale's heading home from school, McKinney stops him. McKinney knows who he is and starts fucking with Kale, trying to basically intimidate him, scaring him even, driving him to his house, and is trying to have like a heart-to-heart conversation. I say that with fucking air quotes, because the entire time he's talking about, oh, you know, how I was raised, you know, I had both sets of parents, and my dad had to beat some sense into me, but that's what some kids need, a little beating into their senses here. Basically, though, he made everyone, including myself, uncomfortable in this situation. And once McKinney, you know, pulls up to the house, he tells him to tell Dawn I said hello. And then Kale takes the fuck off into the house, gets inside, of course, lights up a joint. Now, here's the thing. He's a little bit of trouble. Not overly too much trouble, but something McKinney gonna hold over Dawn's head. He illegally searched Kale's backpack for no fucking reason and found his stash of weed. And he took the weed. He took Kale's weed. So, poor Cal. He's out of his weed. But luckily he's got a backup stash. So he goes and smokes. And unfortunately, because of this panic attack and shit, and he passes out, he wakes up to his mom. But that's in the next scene. Right after this next scene. So then, after he smokes his pot and passes out, we cut to Edmund, who shows up to the audition. And he's decked out into the nines. He's got his little stocky mask on, painted up, overalls, some gloves. And Rhonda sees him. Now, she's still freaked out about the date, so she runs off to the back to tell them that he's here. And he's not supposed to be here. So they try to stop him. They look at him. And they're like, this ain't for you, man. You shouldn't be here. And he's like, what do you mean I shouldn't be here? You're not supposed to be here for this role. And he's like, watch. And he pushes him out the way. As he comes in, of course, one of the, I guess, workers stands up. She's like, Edmund, you need to go home. This is not your day. Please just go home. You see Rhonda crying and freaking out in the corner. And Donovan, of course, Donovan's got to be Donovan. And he's just like, you need to leave, man. You need to go. And poor Edmund's confused. He's just like, but you said this part was for me. You said this part was for me. You said I would be good. And he starts walking up to Rhonda, and Donovan tries to stop him. And, of course, he throws Donovan to the side like he's just a fucking Raggedy Ann doll. And he corners Rhonda. And at this point, he starts getting louder and louder with this. You said I would be good for this role. You said I would be good. You said it was supposed to be my day. Why? Why? You said it was my... And as he's screaming this, he's slamming his hands on this filing desk, and he's basically got Rhonda cornered. She's crying. He's spitting just spit everywhere. He rips the mask off, so you see like the makeup kind of smeared all over his face, and he's having a meltdown, a full fucking meltdown. He goes to the parking lot and he just starts screaming on the top of his lungs. And it's so hard to watch. It really is, because I felt for this man. I felt for him. Not the psycho tendencies, but the fact that he's a method actor. Granted, in the 90s and still today, method acting is not something a lot of actors do. And when they are doing it, a lot of people don't like being around them because of... depending on how heavy of a method act they are. Like, let's look at Shia LaBeouf. His whole method acting. He refused to shower for months. Heath Ledger, he was a method actor. He literally locked himself up into a room and read all the comic books. Like, there are ways people get into these roles, and he did that. He got, unfortunately, obsessed with this to the point that he really put his entire heart into this. So when he thought he was just doing his job, showing up to audition for this kick-ass role he thought he was going to get, and then he gets told no, not actually given a reason either. That's the sad part. Rhonda should have spoken up and said, it's because you were acting weird, man. Something's not right with you. She should have said something, but no, the bitch sat in the corner crying like the little bitch she is. I get it, but I don't. It's like if you honestly have a problem with somebody, honestly, tell it to their face. Tell it to their face. You got a problem with them, tell it to their face. Now, when they react badly, don't act shocked, for one. But be prepared for them to act badly. That's what I'm saying. That's my whole point. Is talk to them. Tell them how you really feel. But be prepared for when they don't take what you said to heart, or what you, let me phrase that. Don't be mad when they react badly. Be prepared for that reaction. Simple as that. Like, you just want to be prepared. But you gotta have the guts and the balls to say this shit to somebody in person. Like, honestly. And I know that's easier said than done. Some people, they got more guts and glories than anybody else. And other times, it's just easier not to say something to the said crazy person because they're not going to listen. But I feel like in this situation, it probably would have been a little bit more tolerable. They probably wouldn't have freaked out as much if she would have explained to him that, hey, bro, you scared the fuck out of me last night, and I don't know if this is definitely the role for you. Maybe I misjudged, because you're too method into this. But man, poor Edmund, he does not handle this shit well at all. We didn't cut to Dawn now, finding her son passed out, the stash of weed, and instead of confronting him like a cop, going, where the fuck did you get this? Who sold you this? Why are you smoking pot? What the hell's wrong with you? She talks to him like a mom. She's just like, you know what? I'm not in the mood to deal with this. When you sober the hell up, come talk to me. And she goes to walk off, and then she realizes he just smoked. Are you hungry? Do you want something to eat? Let's go get something to eat. So she takes him out, and they sit down. They have a conversation, about his smoking. He's like, I do because I got anxiety. I don't do it for all the, for all the other things going on. I'm not heavy into it. I smoke on occasions, Mom. And she's like, I understand, there's a lot going on right now, with the divorce, what's going on in the world, and my job. I know it's not easy, and I understand, but you can always talk to me about anything. I'm here. I'm your mother first and anything else. He's like, if I could talk to you, you could talk to me. Well, there was something that happened to me earlier. We didn't cut to her speeding and she's angry. And she wants to know who was the cop that did this. And he's like, I don't know. It was some fat ginger guy. She's like, fat ginger? Okay, he doesn't call him a fat ginger. But he does describe McKinney, and she knows exactly who he's talking about. And she's mad. But, you know, Kale's trying to calm him down. He's trying, but it's not working. So they get home, he runs up the stairs, and the thing's like, honey, what the hell is going on? And Athena, she's having her own moment too. Because Athena has found Dawn's heart pills, and she's just like, this is not okay. Because again, she knows something we don't. She knows something we don't know at all. And, of course, we find out in the next episode what that is. But Athena wants to talk to Dawn about the pills. And she's like, not now, Mom, not now. I got other things I need to worry about. We could talk about the pills later. We then cut to Edmund, who is now watching Donovan and Rhonda come out. And, of course, you can see she's petrified about the whole situation. She's like holding arms very close to Donovan, and he's being a gentleman and walking her to the car and everything. But while this is happening, he's listening to that self-help book again, talking about the foundation and not letting it crumble, and, you know, don't let the fear and all this shit. We then cut to Dawn, who is sitting outside of McKinney's house smoking a joint, watching McKinney, because she is pissed about the whole situation. And I don't blame her. I really don't. And that's where episode 3 ends off at. Now, I liked this one. Not as much as, say, the second one where you find with the whole cook being killed and everything. But I do like this because now we got a new partner. We got Detective Diaz now, and I like him. I think the chemistry between him and Dawn are really good. They seem like really good partners. But you learn a little bit more about, Kale's dad. You find out he's not a deadbeat. You learn a little bit more about McKinney and about how much of a racist prick he is. Granted, we already knew this information, but it just adds more to what's going on in the overall story and how everything's slowly building up. We still don't have any more information about, what the scare... We know the scare exists. We know it's killing these people in this horrible way, but we, at this point of the show, do not know what the connection is with Dawn, the scare, or with Edmund. Because, again, Edmund's in his own little world. We don't know this until later on, but he's in his own little world. And when I mean by his own little world, I don't mean it's all figments of imagination. I mean he's on a different timeline, being from, 87. But episode 3 basically sets us up to know that it's not just the black community being attacked either. It's other people. It's these teenagers as well. So there's something else going on here than just it's attacking black people. There's more to this, and this is the episode that kind of leans onto it a little bit. But let's carry on to episode 4, which is entitled "Happy Birthday, Sweet Boy." So we start with Edmund, who is listening to that self-help book again, and he is at a party. And I'm going to be honest, I think it's like a book party kind of thing, but I was calling it the all-white party because I noticed majority of those people, not only are they white, but they're wearing white. So it's a very white party. But Edmund comes up, and he walks up to the guy, and he's just like, I've read your book, it's so good, Dad. At first I was like, what do you mean, Dad? Have you lost your mind and you think that the guy who wrote the self-help book is your father teaching you how to survive this world? No, in actuality, he's his adopted dad. I didn't see that shit coming a mile away. I'm being dead serious. I didn't see that shit coming. Yeah, no, he's his adopted dad. And the guy is just like, what are you doing here? You know, Edmund, why are you here? Do you need money? Like, what's going on? He's just like, well, Dad, I've just been reading your book, and I know, you just talk about the foundation and everything, and at first I was disappointed that you didn't mention me in the book. I mean, you mentioned Lacey, you mentioned Mom, and then the mom, of course, comes up. It's like, Edmund, why don't we go inside and talk? He's like, no, I want to talk out here to Dad. I want to talk to Dad. What do you want to talk about, son? I just want to know why. Why what? Why did you abandon me at 12? You know, why did you leave me at 12? You know, I thought we were going to Chuck E. Cheese's and you dropped me off at that house. Like, why did you abandon me? And he's just like, son, let's go over here and talk. Let's go over here and talk. And you find out that the dad abandoned Edmund because, in his exact words, we tried, son. We tried, okay? Like, we tried to get you, help. We tried to get you in the best schoolings and to the sports. But I like acting, Dad. I know. But we were trying to calm you down, rein you in. But you would just... all the tantrums you would throw, all the reactions you would do, and we had to worry about our daughter, because he was about to say biological child, but he called himself and was just like, our daughter, and you were hitting puberty. We were scared. And he's like, well, Dad, things have changed. Maybe you can help me out now. You didn't write the book back then, but now you have, so maybe you can help. Son, there's just some people you can't fix. There's just some people you can't fix. But Dad, I need you right now. I need you. I need you. And that's the sad part. That is really the sad part. Edmund is reaching out for help to his dad. He's like, Dad, help me. Something's going on with me mentally. I need your help. I need you to be a support system. And the dad basically tells him to fuck off. The dad's just like, no, go seek help. You want help? Go seek help. I'm not helping you. And leaves him. And all you want to know is, why couldn't he give him that support system he needed? Because they were scared of him. They were scared of what he would do to their child. And granted, it didn't stop him from adopting another little black baby. I saw that at the party. I'm not going to lie. I saw that shit. And we saw Lacey, too. He tried to talk to Lacey, but Dad's like, oh, hell no. No, we're going this way. But, yeah, no, the Edmund is reaching out for help, and he gets denied. He just gets straight up denied. We then cut to Dawn, who is sitting down at this little rinky-dink, I guess, like 5 and dime gas station repair thing. And she's pretending to be a cop's wife to talk to McKinney's wife. Because she wants to know where McKinney at. Because she believes McKinney's the killer. The fact that, nobody's been inside the house or could go into the house unless you were a cop at 3 a.m., red hair, kind of suspicious a little bit. But she's trying to milk a little bit of information, figure out, where McKinney goes, and she finds out McKinney goes somewhere for a little while, and unfortunately we don't get much more information because the car gets ready and the woman ends up retreating to her car. So Dawn winds up trying to talk to Diaz, her new partner, about all this, and talking about the fact that McKinney does not have an alibi for these particular nights, either one of these deaths, I want to say. So, of course, that's a hard sell. That in itself is a hard sell about, McKinney, this cop that a lot of people respect, could be a killer. And we also got enough issue with the whole Rodney King incident. We don't need a cop being a killer now. But, Dawn's really feeling this. And I'm really feeling this for Dawn as well. I'm just like, I wanted it to be McKinney. Seriously, I wanted it to be McKinney. Unfortunately, it's not McKinney, but he does die. Like I say, he does die. We'll get there in the next podcast about that. But we do find out that in 82, there was an incident with McKinney where something went down everything kind of got pushed up underneath the rug, and the cop that was working that particular case retired a week later. So something was going on there. So Dawn's little detective skills are all blinking and everything. So she goes to talk to that cop. So she's just like, I need to know some information. At first he's hesitant. He doesn't want to open the door and let her in and everything. I'm assuming it's because he had a bad experience. Okay, let's put it out there. He had a bad experience. He explains that he was involved in a situation where he came in and a bunch of cops were already there. They were already there, and they said this guy died by gang retaliation. Well, looking at the guy's body, it was not gang retaliation. And according to the Sugar's girlfriend, who witnessed this entire thing but refuses to speak out, she said that the cops beat the shit out of this man and killed him. So this retired cop, instead of writing the report McKinney and all of them wanted him to write, he was just like, the facts aren't matching up with the story. So to hammer in that the facts should match up to the story, they kidnap this man and indoctrinate him into an all-boys club and tattoo basically a white supremacist tattoo, it seems like. I could be wrong, but I want to say it's a white supremacist tattoo. It's the fist in the air with the shield behind it. Again, I could be 100% wrong, and it could be like another meaning behind this. But I want to say it is a white supremacist tattoo. Again, 100% could be wrong. Could be wrong. I didn't Google this. I didn't look this up. This is something I probably should have. But I'm assuming it has to do with something like that since he retired from the force. And it was to the point that he cut it off his own leg. He cut off the tattoo from his leg. Like, he didn't want that shit anymore. So, yeah, the retired cop not having a good day. But he does tell Dawn and warns Dawn that he's dangerous. He is very dangerous. So, heads up on that. McKinney is a dangerous fool. So then we're back with Edmund, and he is basically breaking in. I'm sorry. He's not breaking in. This is. Oh, I know this scene. I like this scene. So he's picking up a prostitute. And I like this scene because it starts off very magical, kind of whimsical to a degree. We get to see the ladies of the night, you know, the beautiful neon lights and the sky, kind of. Wonderful music playing in the background, kind of romantic and shit. And he winds up picking up a girl. Now, of course, it starts off pretty normal for Edmund, where he's just like, you know, why do you do this? Well, a girl's got to make a living, sweetie, you know. Well, why do you degrade yourself like this? Why do you destroy yourself? You know, the very foundation. And he starts quoting the fucking self-help book, you know, the one that his dad wrote that he's so adamant in listening to. And he starts quoting that to her. So she turns that shit back on him. She's just like, okay, sir, what do you do? Okay, what do you do for a living? How do you survive? Oh, well, I don't have a job. I'm an actor. And what did you act in? Probably nothing. Okay, so for you to look down and judge me, you have no right to do this. You have no... And before she could finish that sentence, Edmund just snaps, and starts yelling at her as he's throwing money at her, saying, pick it up, bitch, pick it up. And, of course, she's like, all right, you know what? I'm done with this. She goes to start grabbing the money, and he pins her against this wall, or against the car door, starts freaking out, and she tries to, you know, okay, baby, hang on, let's talk about this now. Hey, you just wanted a good time, It doesn't have to be this rough, baby. Come on. You know, she's trying to get herself out of the situation. And of course, Edmund is not having it. Starts trying to beat the shit out of her. And before he can hurt her too much, she screams, and the cops hear this. So cops, whoop, turn on lights, pull him out, and they start going through his shit. Oh, yeah. At first you're thinking, well, this is going to be fun because he's got a box of videotapes. He's got, the pig mascot mask. He's got a couple other things. They're taking photos and they're trying to interview him about this. And they're like, so what are you doing here this late at night? I always take a drive. And why were you picking up this woman? You left her pretty shaken and everything. She said you weren't looking for a good time. So do you want to explain, what's going on? What's happening? And they talk about the half-slinging slasher. That guy. They start talking about him. And they're saying, kind of to themselves, but out loud enough towards Edmund that they think, with his actions, he could be the killer that they're looking for because, he fits the description. He's out there at night. He's acting just like him. And hell, even the woman thought he was him because she was just like, oh my God, it's you. You're the killer. You're the slayer. And he never denies it, but he never admits to it either. That's the sad part. So because of this, he starts zoning out. Right, I'm talking about zone, and I love this scene. I love this scene for this very moment right here. This moment it's a beautiful filmmaking of a fourth there's that stroke again. It's a beautiful moment of a fourth wall break, and it's creepy, and it shows you kind of how not unrelated. No, oh shit, what's the word I'm looking for? What is the word I'm looking for? He's an unrelated narrative. Him and Dawn both. But we'll get to Dawn's unrelated narrative later. She's next time podcast. This time podcast is about Edmund. And with Edmund's narrative, he breaks the fourth wall here. He grabs the camera and pulls the camera over to himself, like he's talking to us as the audience. And he starts off with a monologue. And the monologue is like, you ever killed someone before? It's not the aftermath that's special. It's the pain. And this keeps going. And it's a beautifully creepy monologue. Like, even I was just like, he's the killer. He's got to be the killer. He's got to be the slayer. He's the guy who, killed from the beginning of the show. That first episode. We all saw this shit. He's got to be the killer. At the same time that's going on, these other guys are looking through the videotapes to see, what's on the videotapes. Because they think, maybe he's recording the killings and everything. No, just no. Like, seriously, just no. As he is doing his monologue, a cop comes in and goes, stop the interview. He's fucking with y'all. What do you mean? He's fucking with y'all. This is the same audition. We just watched 50 of these fucking tapes. He is quoting a script. He's an actor. He's a washed up actor. And they both look at him and go, what the hell, man? We thought you were wasting our time. They get mad at him for not being the killer. And poor Edmund, he just sat there, just dumbfounded that nobody believes him to be this killer. And because he's not the killer. But because of this and kind of breaking him out of this emergency, because he was really about to go full on hedge, like, I'm the killer. Yeah, no, I'm a killer. I'm a killer, 100%. So he freaks out and he starts crying. Like, straight up, he just starts crying. He has another meltdown. After that, we see Athena looking at the heart pills again. And as she's looking at the heart pills, she hears something, or doesn't hear something. She sees something behind her as she closes the mirror, the little bathroom thingy. Oh, God, what that fucking called? The bathroom mirrors with the medicine cabinet in there. I guess they're just called medicine cabinets. The point is, she closes the mirror, and she sees a pile of little pills making a little line all the way to the closet. She follows the line like Alice in Wonderland, and sees this box. Now, she knows what this box is. If you've seen the show, you know what this box is. But if you've never seen the show and you see this box, it's just a little black box, and you're like, what the fuck? Yeah, a little black box. We're having that moment. Seriously, I was having that moment from Seven. Just, what's in the box? What's in the box? Tell me what's in the box. But she's holding this box up, though. And, we're left questioning, what is in the box? We then cut down to Don following McKinney around as he does his little normal thing he does, I guess. He goes to his boys' club, and you find out that they get drunk, they shoot there, they tattoo each other. It's sort of like a who's club of the boys' club. And, of course, McKinney knows that Don's following her, so he goes to confront her with his fucking boys, and she's just like, listen, I just don't want to talk to you. So you followed me. You followed me here just to talk to me. Yes, I did. At first she's a little timid. She's very timid about this. Like, she's a little scared, because, again, she's one woman with, like, 10 big-ass dudes that are white cops, by the way, all around her, so I don't blame her for being a little timid. But he starts kind of mocking her a little bit, going, so why'd you follow me? Da, 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 da. And she eventually gets her balls up, and she's like, I want you to stay the fuck away from my family. Stay away from my family. Leave my family alone. That's the only reason why I came out here to talk to you. I want you to stay the hell away from my family. And then she, of course, quickly gets the hell up out of there. Like, I'm talking about, she flees. I don't blame her, though. I really don't. I wouldn't want to stay. I wouldn't want to stay either. But she flees. We then go to Edmund now breaking into somebody's house. We don't know whose house it is. We just know he's breaking into this house. And he starts making himself at home, basically. He takes a shit in the toilet that we get to see for some strange reason. I don't know why we get to watch a man take a shit in the toilet, but we watch a man take a shit in the toilet. We watch him eat cereal, watch him pull some stuff out, do some organization. And then he starts going through some tapes or some old-fashioned reels. And you see a little birthday reel going on. It's a little boy. It's his birthday. He's 6 years old. And this is where the famous line comes in at. The title of the episode. Happy birthday, sweet boy. Happy birthday. Can I go enjoy my presents now? Yes, you may. Go. So, that leaves you questioning, wondering, whose house did he break into and why is he watching home videos? But we'll get the answer to that later. We then cut to Athena, who hears the bath going off, so she thinks Don's home. She goes in there to investigate and talk to Don. And Dawn, of course, she's got her back to Athena. And she's just like, baby, you okay? Why are you lying to me, Mom? What do you mean? Have you ever thought about the fact that you're not a good mom? That you're not doing good? Now, Dawn, you know you're a good mother, okay? You know you're a good mom. You're doing the right thing. No, Mom, I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about you. Why are you a liar? Why are you lying to me? And then eventually she turns around. You see, it's the fucking smile. It's the scare. It's the thing. That thing, it's there as Dawn looking at Athena. And she's just like, what do you mean I'm a liar? What's in the box, Mom? What's in the box? Kind of leaving us all a little bit like, yeah, what is in the box, Athena? What's in the box? But she snaps out of it, of course, right after that because of Kale coming around like, Grandma, you okay? And she's just like, I'm fine, sweetie, I'm fine. No, Athena, you're not okay, but okay, you do you, boo-boo, you do you. We then see what basically Edmund was doing. So Edmund straight up broke into Donovan's house. Oh. And he's doing this because he's kidnapping Donovan. So he beats the shit out of Donovan and basically takes him to this location. We're almost back to a full circle, guys. We're almost to the full circle back to the first episode. We then cut to Athena crying in the chair in the living room as Dawn gets home. And this is the moment. This is the moment. We don't have to wait too long to find out what's in the box, because Athena's about to tell us. Dawn comes in. She's like, Mom, what's wrong? Mom, what's going on? Dawn, I have always loved you. You know that I am your mother and you are my daughter, and I love you. Mom, what are you going on about? You're scaring me. Dawn, you're adopted. First of all, when she said that, I didn't realize that was a secret. But I'm gonna be honest, guys. The adoption twist was not a big twist to me. Because first of all, I'm gonna be honest, and I can't believe this either. I'm gonna be honest. I thought everybody knew she was adopted. Like, she didn't look nothing like Athena. She looked nothing like Athena. And we only saw pictures of what, her dad looked like. And I'm looking at the pictures like, that don't look like her dad either. So I just assumed she was adopted. I didn't know that was a secret. Like, I'm being dead serious. I didn't realize it was a secret. But she drops that secret on Dawn. And Dawn's just like, what do you mean I'm adopted? And she's just like, This letter will explain everything. Your mom left it for you to read. And I didn't want to say anything because, I was just like, okay, maybe when you get older, maybe when the time's right. But you just seem so well adjusted and so my daughter, I couldn't. And of course, Dawn just can't even. She can't even. She's just like, what the hell, Mom? Like, what the hell? I got enough shit on my plate right now. I don't need this. And of course, Cal comes down. Like, what's with all the arguing? Not now, Cal. Just, what do you mean I'm adopted? And then she flees. She flees. I don't blame her. That's a lot of information that they take in. She's got McKinney doing McKinney things, fucking this whole case going on with the scare, and now she finds out she's adopted. That's a lot to take in for one woman. She takes off. But again, I feel like an idiot not knowing that was a secret. I thought it was just obvious. Like, I'm sorry, I was looking at her like, you don't look like Athena. And again, they're actors, but when they do family resemblance thing, they try to make them look somewhat like each other when they're picking actors. So I didn't realize it was a secret. I thought we all knew. Apparently we didn't. Apparently not everybody knew. Apparently me and Athena knew. Everybody else is completely clueless. But we now cut to Edmund, and it's a full circle back to the FNAF rip-off birthday party with that fucking animatronic and that stupid song, I don't want to grow up, I don't want to grow up, I don't want to go to school. Yeah, stupid ass song. Turns out I was correct. The hand did belong to Edmund, and the guy underneath the sheet is Donovan. Now, he starts fucking with Donovan. Like, I'm talking about full on fucking with Donovan. He is playing his old home videos, and he is quoting the videos now. Like, apparently he's watched his 6th birthday party a lot. That he knows everybody's lines of dialogue, including Donovan's. But the way he starts fucking with them is that he puts the camera in front of him, and he's like, say your name, and, what part you're reading for. And, of course, Donovan ends up having to play along. He doesn't want to, but he has to, and he's freaking out this entire time. And then Edmund starts mocking him the way he mocked him the first episode. Oh, you're so bad, man. You're so bad. Like, are you even an actor? Like, what the hell? Like, you're terrible. Mocking him. And of course, Donovan knows that's probably the catalyst, the whole reason why he's in this situation. So he starts apologizing. He's just like, I'm sorry, man. No, don't do this to me. Don't kill a brother like this. I know we've had our differences, but I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Just don't do this. Don't do this. you think, maybe he's connecting to Edmund a little bit. You're just like, okay, we get it. You're scared. Edmund kind of feels that. Edmund walks up to him and kind of hugs him. Now, this entire time, if I may add, by the way, I forgot to make the mention of this. Edmund's wearing a fucking stocking and wig over his face to look like the mom in the video. I don't know why, but he is, and it's very creepy. Very, very creepy, I'm not gonna lie. But he unties one of his hands, and he kind of leans over and buries his head into his hands. He starts crying, it's okay, man. And then, of course, Donovan is just like, okay, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay, man. It's gonna be okay. And then Edmund grabs his hand and just bends it backwards, breaking his fucking arm. Just messing it up. Kind of like we see with the bodies. Like the scare. Yeah, it's doing that thing. And we see him, Donovan tries to fight him off, so he, tries to run, doesn't get very far, collapses, and Edmund gets on top of him, and as they're fighting, he grabs his leg, and then breaks his leg. Just, and you hear the screams, and we cut. We cut to black. End of episode. I love this episode because not only did we finally get that full fucking circle back to the first episode, but we get to see the rest of the decline of Edmund's mentality going. Like, we get to see him commit his first murder. Frankly, it's his only murder, but we'll get into that come next time's podcast, like straight up. But episode 4 sets us up with some heavy cliffhangers, okay? We find out she's adopted, Dawn's adopted, Athena's being haunted by something, Kel's getting uneasy feelings, McKinney's being an asshole, we got people dying, we see Edmund's doing the same kills that these other people are doing, but in a more human nature. So it leads us up to a big climax. That is coming up. Episode 5 is like the climax. And then we get to see the rest of the ride on its way down. And it's a fun fucking ride. I cannot wait to talk about this in the next podcast. But the first 4 episodes really establish this show. Granted, there's not a lot of bodies piling up. There's 3 bodies total in 4 episodes. But we get to see this scare the shit out of people. We're learning a little bit about the scare and where he comes from and why this is happening. We learn a little bit about Dawn and her foundation and her family ties, and we see a little bit about Edmund. And now there is a connection between these two as well. It's not just the scare, but there's more to it. And if you've seen the show, you know what it is. We'll dive more into on it next time. But if you haven't, oh boy, next week is going to be fun. Definitely fun. But overall, good episodes. I personally love the last half though, because of just all the craziness that winds up happening, except for that one scene. That one scene I could have lived without, but we'll get there when we get there. But why don't I go ahead and end this podcast here? I hope everybody who has watched, is watching, will watch. I hope you enjoy. I hope everybody has a fantastic and a wonderful night. And guys, don't forget, if you love my podcast or any of the other fun, fantastic things I do here on the channel or here on Spotify, don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below, hit that notification bell, especially here on YouTube, because not only do I do these podcasts, but I do other fantastic, fun things here on the YouTube channel, such as Disney Dreamlight Valley live streams, my horror games, my TCM videos, and so on and so forth. I do a little bit of everything when it comes to horror and a little bit of non-horror stuff. Just a little bit of non-horror stuff. Just a little bit. It's mainly because it's Disney, and I'm a sucker for Disney. I love my Disney, especially the Renaissance Disney. New Disney, I'm not a big fan of. Old Disney, though, love old Disney. But overall, first half of the season, when it comes to them, is an excellent season. It's a well built up of basically of a mountain we gotta climb. It sets up so many good things, and like I said, the writing's great. Not perfect, because like I said, there's one character, which is that dude she ends up fucking in the pool, that you could literally cut out of this whole show and not make a difference. But I like it overall compared to the first season. Because, like I said earlier, the first season literally had the scares kind of in the background, where the racism and everything was more of the foreground. That was more of the foreground of the psychological trauma these people were dealing with, and the scares were in the back. This one, it's more the scares are in the front, but the psychological trauma's in the back. And I love this kind of twist in the whole situation. But next week, it's definitely going to be a fun time on the podcast because of the last 4 episodes. They're going to be fun, fantastic. I cannot wait to sit down and discuss them. But that is the story for another day. So until then, my friends, y'all take care. And I'll see y'all for part 2 of Them Season 2, episode 5 through 8.